All right. Hey, good morning. Welcome into the Rides and Grind Morning Show. It is day 2 of the NFL free agency legal tampering period. But I got a question, man. Is it really legal tampering? I kind of brought this up last night, and it's like there's all these deals getting done. Now, they're not final. They still have to sign on the dotted line on Wednesday after 4 p.m. when the new league year officially starts. It's just semantics, isn't it? Like these first 2.5 days, 3 days, whatever you want to call it, it's just semantics of everything that we already know on a Monday or a Tuesday turning into Wednesday where everything is official. And you might see some press conferences. You might see your new players take the mic for the first time, at their respective franchise. It's kind of weird. I guess I really never thought about it until this week when it's kind of pointless, honestly. Like, just let it be done. If it's done, it's done. Why do they need time to think about it? Is this a 3-day rescission period where it's not legit, it's not legal? They could technically still work with other teams. You might have a deal in place and then it could all blow up in the 11th hour. I mean, how would that go down? How would you feel if at 3:59 p.m. you get a phone call that says, "Yep, decided to go a different direction"? I don't like that. I think that they should be able to just get it inked, get it done. If you've already had the conversations, why the hell not, right? Why wait? It's just silly. It's semantics. But anyway, good morning. It's Tuesday. It is March 10th, I believe, today. All the days are running together. I believe we have Eric back. We were having some difficulty earlier getting everything fixed. But I think he's back in play now. So I'll bring him in just a few moments. How do you feel first day went for the Lions? Not a whole lot of talk, right? Not a whole lot of conversation coming out of Allen Park. Not a lot of information flowing. And quite honestly, I think it's a good thing. I mentioned that yesterday too, that there's no reason in the world to show all your cards to the rest of the world. I was listening to another show this morning that happens to be on very early in the morning, Detroit-based radio show, and they were struggling with the idea that Jared Goff's contract has not been announced, that it's been restructured. And I just simply said, I don't know what's so hard to understand here when whether it's Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown that need to get done, or Jared Goff and the Lions are just wanting to pay that big, heavy price tag and then reset next year. Whatever's clever. But there's one fact that remains. The Lions don't have enough money to field the team right now. So it has to get done. Or something has to get done. It could be 3 or 4 contracts versus Jared Goff's contract, which would tell you, based on yesterday, the Lions weren't going to be big players in free agency, but there's going to be some more moves that are happening between today, tomorrow, and Thursday. And then we start entering the second wave of free agency really on, I think, Thursday. You could call it the second wave. They kind of go week by week, but after the first 48 to 72 hours, that's really it for wave 1. And I feel like wave 2 kind of picks up into the weekend and then resets again on Monday. You start getting into wave 3 by the end of next week. It's pretty much over. But anyway, good morning. Let's get Eric in here. Let's start talking some football. I hope you got audio. Let me make sure that you're unmuted there. Good morning, man. How are you?
Oh, there we go. Is that working?
Yeah, you're good. Good morning, man.
Okay. Yeah. How's it going?
It's going. It's going. How are you?
Really good. Crazy first day of free agency. Certain teams went absolutely nuts, like the Raiders and the Panthers and a couple other teams brought in boatloads of money, lots of people, lots of contracts. The Chiefs brought in the running back, Kenneth Walker there. So very crazy first day. And we got a center. The Lions got a center. And a backup swing tackle so far. So I know there's a lot of fans that are absolutely freaking out right now, wondering when the hell we're going to do something. We haven't announced any contract details, doing any restructures with anyone. So everyone is freaking out about that, even though they could have had it done for a week and they don't have to announce it until Wednesday. They don't have to announce anything till Wednesday. So I'm guessing they're just playing this one a little closer to the vest this year. They are just not leaking out as many details as they normally do. And you're going to see Brad's getting some stuff done, even though he might be getting it done behind the scenes instead of in front of everyone. And then, I was talking to Will just a little bit ago. These Lions players that left the Detroit Lions, some of them are making, they got quite the bump in value going from the Lions going somewhere else. So there are people willing to pay for ex-Detroit Lions players. Some of them are getting double what they got for the Detroit Lions in their new contracts.
Yeah, specifically you're saying Alex Anzalone, right? So when he came to Detroit, I think he came in on a 1-year deal and then signed a 3-year deal, if memory serves me right. So he came in 21, then was signed through 22, 23, 24, and 25. Maybe it was a 2-year deal when he first started, and then a 3-year deal, but it was 3 for 18, right? And then yesterday he got 2 for
17.
2 for 17. So if we take that $6 million and you multiply it by the minimum of a 20% raise in, well, I actually got to do that a different way. You take that $6 million and multiply it by 1.10, which is about a 10% increase year over year, and then you go another 1.10, another 10% increase year over year, and then another 1.10 for the year 3. That gets you to about $8 million per season, and that's right about where he is, just a little bit shy. So he probably got the market increase year over year, and then you get your average 2 to 3% bump. Probably every single season anyway. And so I think he got the same deal. I think it just reflects today's salary cap is what he got. I don't know what he was thinking last year. If you look at Derek Barnes' contract, he got what, 3 for 25?
Yeah.
3 for 24, somewhere in that range. Yeah. So he's right in the same neighborhood of what Derek Barnes got. And I feel like Alex Anzalone felt maybe he should have been in the upper range of 10 plus. And he was never going to get that. I mean, he's a little bit older. I still feel he's one of the better linebackers, in the league. Mm-hmm. But he was never going to get that kind of money in Detroit. And quite honestly, look, I think Derek Barnes is an okay linebacker. I think that if there's a mistake that was ever made with a contract in extending a player, Derek Barnes is one. And I know I don't think I'm out on a limb by myself with that idea. I don't see him as a high-profile player that I would have wanted to keep. Now, the contract is what it is, and he's going to be around for at least this season and next season, I believe. But that's not a player that I would have heavily invested in. And Alex Anzalone neither. I wouldn't have heavily invested in him either. We need younger, faster, more agile coverage linebackers in this defense so that we can be more multiple with the type of fronts that I think that Calvin Johnson really wants to get to. Got to get my mic up, man. I hate leaning over.
Yeah. The other 3 players that left in free agency, Amik Robertson, Roy Lopez, and Kyle Allen, all basically doubled their salary from what they got paid with the Lions to what they're getting with their new teams. So playing for the Detroit Lions, it'll get you a raise sometimes.
So you think that they got a raise because they played in Detroit?
I do. Kyle Allen has not thrown a pass in 3 years. His old contract with the Lions was 1 for $1.2 million.
Yeah, he got the vet minimum, but he was just a backup.
And then now his new contract is 2 for $4.1 million. So he doubled his salary.
Yeah, he doubled it, but again, I think it's what is available in free agency right now is very thin for quarterbacks, especially for backup quarterbacks. I don't think it has anything to do with the Lions, though. I think it has everything to do with just the market.
Well, I do think Roy Lopez and Amik Robertson, them two, they both basically doubled what they got. I do think Roy Lopez leaving Arizona for a year, playing for the Lions, got him one hell of a raise because he was on a 1-year, $3.5 million, and now he got 2 for $11.5. So he almost doubled what he was making here with the Detroit Lions.
And I would say that he's grossly underpaid, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. I think that Lopez is grossly underpaid, even at that new contract, because last year, I mean, you could see the tenacious way that he plays and the ability for him to get back into the backfield on many occasions. Roy Lopez, I felt like he just started to kind of scratch the surface of who he was. I'm really surprised that he went back to Arizona. Maybe it's just a money move, and obviously family out there. You know, he has big family ties, but I felt like he didn't, like when he came to Detroit, he was saying how things were so much better and different. Like he finally saw how things were supposed to be. And now you're going back to a team that is rebuilding. Like I don't understand that. Like, does he really feel like he's going to go win a championship in Arizona? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And then as far as Amik Robertson goes, you know, when he came into Detroit, he signed, I think 2 for $10, and he was
2 for $9.
He was it was more than 9, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 for 9.25, and now his new deal is 2 for 16.
So he was definitely underpaid and undervalued as a corner that could play all 3 positions. Coming to Detroit and being able to put some really good film together, you know, holding down Justin Jefferson in that Week 18 game a couple seasons ago. I mean, he's done some amazing things as the leader of that room and the last man standing to the last man standing in a divisional championship game that, you know, he goes in and he breaks his wrist in. Prior to that, I mean, he was the guy. Like he was the guy that we needed. You know, with Carlton Davis out, I think at that time, then it was time for him to step in and do some things, and he did. Anytime his number was called, he played to a high level. So these guys are going to be missed. Amik Robertson is definitely one of those locker room kind of glue guys, and sucks really seeing them go, but it's interesting to see what we have next. I will say this. I'm not sold on Ennis Rakestraw. I'm really not. I'm not. If he stays healthy, I think the kid can play. I just don't see the style that he plays with anywhere comparable to Amik Robertson. There is a difference between those two in their mentality. And I like the Amik Robertson mentality versus Ennis Rakestraw. So,
but we don't know what Ennis is. We have no clue.
Well, he's a slot guy. We know that, but you know he can be.
But we don't know what he can do, what he can't do. We don't know his attitude. We don't know nothing about the kid.
Well, I know plenty based on the film that I've watched.
Injured.
Yeah, I know plenty based on the film. It's just what is he going to do in Detroit? Is he going to stay healthy? And is Brad, you know, is he sold on the fact that Ennis Rakestraw is going to do that? And I've shot out the same warning shot on about every positional group towards Brad when I said this. I'm going to say it again now, 3 more times today and 10 more times tomorrow. It'll be extremely irresponsible for Brad Holmes to walk into training camp without having additional manpower. It'll be extremely irresponsible for Brad Holmes to trust in the fact that Ennis Rakestraw is going to be able to take the turn, you know, in year 3 and be able to do something with his career. He needs to have someone in place. I was hoping it was going to be a veteran. It still could be a veteran. But who else do we really have on this roster that can come in and slide in and play the nickel slot? I don't see it. You know, if we have Rocky Sin in the fold, great. He's an outside corner. He can slide in and play nickel, but he's not as twitchy. He's not as fast. And you know, that's what you thrive on in that nickel slot is you need someone that can be twitchy and stick with those, you know, lighter, faster receivers, and even some of the bigger receivers and the tight ends that are going to line up in the slot that are just going to bull rush you, you know, and push you off the line of scrimmage. We need someone that can stand firm and then also mirror and phase. So who's on this roster that can do that? Anybody?
Yeah. I don't know who we have right now. And that's why I think so many Lions fans are freaking out right now.
Well, you can't freak out yet.
We have to stay patient. You know, it's only the first day of the tampering period. We still have all day today and tomorrow until noon to get stuff done. And then after that, there's going to be a lot of signings into the next week, 2 weeks. leading all the way up to the draft. So you never know. It seems like Brad might be playing some hardball, trying to get the bargain bin Brad stuff done.
Well, I don't know if the bargain bin has been explored yet. I think yesterday was a kind of a reaction to the market. I heard yesterday that the Lions were heavily involved in the Linderbaum conversation. Well, this is direct from a source. In that, that then the Raiders jumped in the pot and blew it up. Yeah. I mean, they took it from a $22 million deal to $27 million, and at that point, you're out. Like there's nothing unless you're trading like a player. I'm sorry, not trading a player. Unless you're getting rid of a player like Jamison Williams or someone else. Yeah, I guess effectively it would be a trade, and you're freeing up some big cash. That just wouldn't make any sense. And bringing in a $27 million center is, I mean, what are you really getting, right? What are you really getting that for $27 million versus $10 million or $9 million or $15 million that is that much better? I don't care about PFF grades at all. Like I don't. I care about the film, and I think that Cade Mays is plenty good. And I'd say that position is not even done yet. I'm not saying that Cade Mays is even our starter right now. It is what it is. It's open competition at the center position until we have someone that's locked in. Yeah. Well, what are you really getting from $27 million to $10 million? What did Cade even get? He got 3 for $25. I believe that was the number, 3 for $25.
I have to look.
I got to pull my stuff up too. Yeah, he got 3 for $25, $14 million guaranteed. Now he's is he 6'4" or 6'6"? That's the question. I found different numbers yesterday. Just gonna go back and look at his combine. He's 6'5", so that means he's 6'4" something. NFL.com, in case you guys we're looking at players later. NFL.com always rounds up. So they're not the true number. You've got to get the true numbers from other sources. But the true number is not 6'5". He's 6'4" and change. 325 pounds. It's kind of like a Coke machine with a helmet, man. When you look at the dude, he's just like a block of ice. You know what I mean? He's just thick from front to back and side to side, and then you just got this helmet. He's kind of a big dude. But last year, 726 snaps, surrendered 0 sacks, 11 total pressures, and he ranked 13th overall in pass block evaluation. 34-inch arms, so he's up in that upper echelon, someone that could actually play tackle if he was, agile enough to play tackle. Not the fastest guy in the world, 5 1/4 40, but he does have big, heavy hands, has decent lateral mobility, and I just started scratching the surface on the film on him last night. I watched a couple until I just couldn't stay awake anymore. Very interesting, though, that you bring in a guy like this, roughly $7.3 million per year, and we'll see what happens. Let's compare him between Linderbaum at the end of the year. Did Brad make the right decision?
Yeah, I think for the money, that's the way that is the correct decision for sure.
I think so too.
Yeah. My buddy Bob, he just texts me and he says that he knows how to fix the Detroit Lions, what Brad needs to do today.
Uh-oh.
He said, we need to sign Cam Jordan, bring back Muhammad, sign Njoku, and Trey Lance.
Trey Lance is on my radar.
That's some decent options right there, I think.
Njoku's $9 million. Cam Jordan's 55 years old.
Oh, I get it. But a stopgap and get a rookie.
Okay.
Second rounder, Malachi Lawrence.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. It ain't happening.
Yeah.
Anyhow, and I don't know that. I'm just saying I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the Lions are going to go for a 37-year-old stopgap.
But he's never missed a game. The guy is Mr. Dependable.
Well, that's fine, but that doesn't mean you're always producing either, just because you're in the game. And it's not that he's had bad seasons, but at 37 years old, you're just a ticking what waiting to happen. At any point in time, something's just going to go snap, and then it's over. So, I mean, you put your shoes on wrong, and your back goes out. At that age, even before that age.
Well, we haven't heard anything about Muhammad. I haven't heard about him signing anywhere. Haven't heard anything about Njoku or Trey Lance going anywhere yet. So there's some guys still out there.
Well, there's a ton of guys. And so that I think that's another, kind of a misnomer. Yesterday was a lot of re-signings. A ton of re-signings. There was sprinkles of, players going here or there, and there was some big money deals going here or there. But out of the top 100 free agents, I would say 70 of them are still available. So, I mean, my guy Kobe Bryant's gone. I'm not happy about that. He went to the Bears. That's going to be a problem.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, yeah. He ended up in Chicago.
Yeah. I know that the Packers signed a corner this morning from the Chargers.
All right. Why don't we just reset here and start there? I want to go through what's happened this morning already, if anything. Let me just scan the old Twitter webs here. Get it up on the screen. All right, so according to Adam Schefter, this was 9 hours ago. He just reposted it, I guess. Who is that? First day unofficial free agent Pittsburgh trade. Pittsburgh traded for Michael Pittman. They signed Jamel Dean and Asante Samuel. They re-signed Odumeo and Rico Dowdle. All players that we didn't need. Patriots, starting offensive line looks a little different. Jets. Patriots are giving the former Jets first-round pick, Elijah Vera Tucker, a 3-year, $42 million deal worth up to $48. Let's get over to someone that's got some current stuff in here. Tom Pelissero, 1 hour ago, says that the Bills and the kicker Tyler Bass agreed to a revised contract, so he'll be staying in Buffalo. And that's old news. Garofolo, as of an hour ago, the Packers are now adding defense today, agreeing to terms with former Chargers free agent cornerback Benjamin St-Juste. 2-year, $10 million deal. That might be the only thing that's really happened yet so far. Unprecedented frenzy, according to Ian Rappaport. 25 of the top 30 free agents have already been agreed to deals with their own team or a new team. And that's the big, that's the big, I guess, statement of the day is how many players re-signed with their own team. It was a lot. And so there's still 70, about 70 of the top 100 still available.
And you know what's strange? We haven't heard of one re-signing by the Lions yet.
No, I don't think that's strange because if you go back to the last couple of years, that's been the MO.
I thought that was the first thing they did was announce those.
Nope. They haven't done anything yet, or at least they haven't announced anything yet. Look, I think we should discuss maybe why the Lions do the things that they're doing. I've noticed a big change. In the very beginning, there was flash and fury everywhere, right? It was whatever the Lions did, you heard about it. And as 22 progressed, it was kind of the same. 23 got a little bit tighter, but 24 and 25, they clamped. They have said nothing. I think that they have learned. I mean, I've called them out numerous times saying, hey, I just use my psychology training. I listen, I watch, and I can figure out, through what they're saying, what's about to happen. For instance, David Montgomery, as soon as they said what they said at the combine, I'm like, he's gone. Same thing here. Like, why would you want to release any of your information if you don't have to? Technically, they don't have to say anything until tomorrow at 4 p.m. They don't have to say anything about Jared Goff's contract or Penei Sewell's contract or Amon-Ra St. Brown's contract or anyone else's contract. They don't have to say anything. They don't have to do anything. And as far as signing their own guys, they might have vets that are free agents. They may have vet deals already in place. We call those the handshake deals, where they're like, yeah, we're going to stick around. And no, you don't have to re-sign me right now because I plan on sticking around. Now that's a trust thing, right? Where you're trusting that player is going to come back, but it does a couple of things. Number one, it frees up cap space. All the Lions have to do is be under the cap by 4 p.m. tomorrow. And then they can go do whatever they want for the most part. I mean, you're technically not allowed to go spend more than the cap, but if you have future considerations that are going to go over the cap, you're not going to get penalized. And then until 2027 at 4 p.m. in the new league year, if you're over the cap. And there's like crazy penalties like $5 million a day or $5 million per contract. Or they'll even rip up the contracts that you most recently signed. So the Lions don't have to do anything. There's no reason to worry. There's no reason to get all bothered by it. I feel like it's very strategic in nature, just like in a high, negotiation tactic. Like you don't want to put all your cards out there. There's no reason for it. And then I hear, well, the Chiefs, they announced the whole Mahomes thing. Okay. And it's not like it was this, grandiose story. It got done. They had to submit it to the league. It got announced because it was submitted to the league. You knew that they did something with his contract. It's not the first time they've done something with his contract. They've done it multiple times. You don't have to say anything about Jared Goff. You don't have to say anything about the vets that you're bringing back in if it's a handshake deal and nothing's concrete, with pen and paper. So I feel it's more strategic this year. I think that the Lions are being sneaky with what they're trying to do because they just don't want everyone to know what they're hunting down. They don't want everyone to know that they have money or they don't have money. I think it's a good place to operate from. You're on a need-to-know basis, as you should be, right? It's their business. It's their franchise. We're just fans. It's not our business. When they report something, we can report something. Unless you have inside information. And even then, sometimes you probably shouldn't say anything, right? If you happen to hear something, you probably shouldn't say anything. That's why I didn't say anything. But anyway, what do you think about the Lions playing this close to the vest? Do you see a brighter outcome at the end of the day, or do you think that the Lions just aren't doing anything?
I don't know what to think. I really don't. I'm at a loss this year, and people are up in arms, and I tell you, I've never seen so much infighting amongst our fan base ever as I have these last couple of days.
It has been constant, man. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous.
It's worse now because now they're all slinging mud at each other, and oh, you're stupid. Oh no, you're stupid. So it's like,
and you're stupid, and you're stupid, and you're stupid. And
I'm going to read you a tweet. I sat here all year watching everybody trash and cry about every single player that the Lions lost already this year. And now I'm seeing these same people up in arms and throwing tantrums because the Lions didn't bring them back. It'd be different if the Lions won the division or a playoff game. They went 9-8. It's time for some change. And I think that's what we're seeing is we're seeing maybe not a philosophy change, but you're seeing, hey, this didn't work last year. We're going to make it work this year. We're going to change some stuff up.
I'm going to search right now for some information. Just give me a few minutes on it because maybe it'll open up our eyes. And I know it's tough to remember yesterday. It's even tougher to remember last year. And I didn't do a good enough job last year at recording a few things, and I really need to do a better job with that. I should have wrote. Well, I didn't have the website going back then, but I should have wrote something to be able to go back and look and say, okay, What happened on March 9th or March 8th, whatever it was last year? What did the Lions do on that day? What do they do on the next day? It's usually like all day long we wait, and it's 8 p.m. at night, and we finally get something on the first day. I want to say that's what happened last year, is that it was really late in the afternoon when we finally heard something. And then there was a couple of flurries of things. You know, if you go back to the Carlton Davis thing, we made a move fairly quickly with him, and then the next day it was announced that it was Amik Robertson. So I think Carlton Davis was in the evening, and that was back in 24, right?
Yeah.
So that would have been in the evening, and then the next day it was announced that Amik Robertson was done. So let me just take a look here.
Yeah, somebody asked on here, the cornerback market is quickly thinning out. Do you expect the Lions to add one?
I do, and like I posted on Twitter a few days ago, the information that I received simply said the Lions, here, I'll go back and read it because I forget what I wrote a few days ago. Let me wind back here. Oops, it's not my profile. There we go. Well, I'm on my profile. Where is it? We're getting there. Damn, I've said this much in the last few days. Talk too much. Talk too much. Come on. All right, latest report was I've been told the Lions have been quietly productive with contract restructure. See, that I didn't get the whole quietly thing until now. Right now, this second. The quietly thing, now it makes sense. Because they're not out there saying, hey, we did all this. They're keeping it in-house, right? So quietly productive with contract restructures, trade talks, and free agency rumors. Or free agency homework, excuse me. The Lions are working on multiple free agent targets to reshape this team for 26. Per sources, outside linebacker and cornerback, and that would have been all linebackers. Cornerback and safety, it would have been DBs, have been talked about heavily. Well, what happened yesterday? Think about it. It makes sense now. Anzo's gone. Amik's gone. It makes sense. Exactly what I was given is remaining true right now because we lost two guys immediately. So they expected to lose those guys. Whatever talks that they were having with their own guys beforehand, they're allowed to have. They expected it wasn't going to happen. So they were quietly productive, knowing that they were about to lose Alex Anzalone and Amik Robertson, and they were preparing to do something different. I can't imagine, anywhere where that's just a rookie, a third, fourth, fifth round rookie that is going to replace that kind of talent. I don't see anywhere on this roster that we have that kind of talent to replace it with. I mean, we haven't heard anything about Rodrigo, right? Rightfully so. He'll probably be back. But he's not the answer. He's not the answer to take over for Anzalone. He's a good football player, but he's not the guy that we want on the outside.
Yeah. So Albert Breer put out a tweet yesterday, and Corey Woods and a couple other guys reposted it. It says, reminder, if your team didn't sign anyone within 5 hours of the start of free agency, your GM is asleep at the switch, your coach is neglecting his roster, your owner is cheap, and any shot you had at a championship is over and done with.
Okay.
I think he was being sarcastic.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Sarcasm, you can't, I don't know. They need like a sarcasm emoji to put next to something when you were trying to use sarcasm online.
Yeah.
There's no inflection. There's no, it just depends on how the person reads it.
Okay, so if this is accurate, this is what happened last year.
Okay.
March 10th at 12:14 p.m., the Lions re-signed Derek Barnes. At 2:38 p.m., they signed DJ Reed. At 6:15 p.m., Levi Onwuzurike was coming back on a prove-it deal. And then Tuesday, March 11th, at 10:42 a.m., Tim Patrick retained. At 3:10 p.m., Roy Lopez was signed. Or courted, whatever word you want to use. And then at 8:05 p.m., there's that 8 p.m., Avonte Maddox was brought in. And then on Wednesday, at 4:05 p.m., contracts were finalized with Reed, Barnes, Onwuzurike, Patrick, Lopez, Maddox. And at 5:22, that's when Rock Ya-Sin entered the building. And then on Thursday, at 11:15 a.m., Special Teams was retained. And that was where a big flurry of our signings came from. They brought in Grant Stewart, Anthony Pittman, Trevor Nowaski, and Khalil Dorsey, all in a synchronized press release. And then on Friday, the glue of the roster was finalized. You had Elkady Muhammad, Pat O'Connor, Craig Reynolds, and Shane Zielstra retained. That was week one. So what happened yesterday? We had Cade Mays, Larry Borum.
I never got to hear your thoughts on Larry Borum.
Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot yet.
No? Okay.
I don't think I put anything out last night. I was planning on doing something last night. And it just caught up to me, man. I was live for 8, 9 hours, whatever it was. It just caught up to me.
Sounds like he's more of a backup type.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like he's more of that swing tackle. Here, let me get some of my notes out. I feel like he's more of a swing tackle right now. He's a former Michigan native. I mean, for whatever that is, Brother Rice High School. He's 6'5" 322 pounds, swing tackle, 35 career starts, 31.5-inch vert, 5'12", 40. Definitely has the baseline athleticism, I feel like, to play, either side. He mirrors speed rushers pretty well, but I feel like he's more of that emergency relief duty. I would not put him anywhere as a starting role right now. And if he is, I think we're in trouble. But I feel like this is a major upgrade over like a Kobe Sorsdahl. I feel like it could be an upgrade over Skipper, honestly. So if all signs are pointing to Giovanni Manu, who's playing left tackle right now, Borum is your immediate swing tackle. And obviously Cade Mays is your center. Juice Scruggs, I mean, he's a guard product, can also play center. You could probably say it the other way too. His development really fluctuated within Houston's blocking concepts. I would say that, throughout his history, he had, some foot issues and some other issues that probably beat his stock down a little bit, for what fans are thinking he is. He's a former second-round pick for a reason. Not all second-round picks are great, but he's had some foot injuries. And those foot injuries, I mean, it's pretty important, as pretty important as an offensive lineman. You need your feet, man. Pretty important for any position, really. But his collegiate to his professional tape, I mean, he's the dude's just a massive anchor. He's this big dude. He's a vicious dude. 33.25-inch arms. He's probably the bigger insurance, if you will, at both guard spots. And then I think he's probably extra insurance at the center spot. Right now, if you look at it, the Lions have Scruggs as an immediate backup behind Mays, and then they have Tate Ratledge as that third backup behind Scruggs. If we look at the center position in a vacuum, I think that's your hierarchy on the depth chart. And then if you look at Christian Mahogany versus Miles Frazier, either one of them can play, left-right guard, but now you have Christian Mahogany starting left guard, Mahogany starting left guard, Frazier immediate backup. Frazier also, I believe, moonlight over at the right side, right tackle, but then you have Larry Borum, who can also do right tackle. And then you have Giovanni Manu, who's your immediate starter right now on the left side. And eventually that will be replaced, hopefully, by somebody either today or tomorrow. And if not, it'll be the draft. And that's where I'm still very confident in Caden Proctor. Quick question out there to the chat. How's my audio and everything this morning? How's Eric's audio? It's been a minute since we've been back together here I should have asked that right at the get, and I did not. I did not do an audio check this morning. It looks like my audio dipped a little bit. Let me make sure to turn it back up. So anyway, with that, what are your thoughts with who we have? Let me pull up a depth chart while you're talking about it.
Yeah, so far, we haven't done too much. I mean, I love this new center, and here's the reason why I love him. Because we didn't pay $27 million a year for him. We're getting him for $7 million. All 3 years of Cade May's contract is less than 1 year of Tyler Linderbaum. I wanted Tyler Linderbaum just like everyone else did. When you're pulling in a new pivotal piece for your offense, you want the best. You don't want bargain bin Brad, but I think he went kind of in the middle. He didn't go for the cheapest guy, and he didn't go for the most expensive guy either. And like you said, everything I saw online was that the Lions were hot and heavy for Linderbaum, and they were trying, but the Vegas Raiders, they just had too much money and too much cap space. They have too much everything. Their war chest is full because they've sucked for so freaking long, and they don't have the restrictions that the Lions do, being good for 4 years in a row. I don't know of any other team that's had as many wins in the Lions as the last 4 years that have more money available than the Lions do. The only team I can think of that made a big splash that's really had a lot of success over the last 4 years was the Chiefs bringing in Kenneth Walker. And I was really surprised with that move, that they went out and got the best running back in free agency. I figured because the Chiefs have always been more of a draft first team, especially for big needs like a running back. They'd rather go on the cheap end of things and try to draft versus go through free agency. So it was kind of weird to see the Chiefs. They only make a big splash every once in a super great while. So that was kind of a surprising one to see from the Chiefs yesterday.
Yeah. So my question was about the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about the offensive line right now, the way that I just explained it? Like, what is your thoughts there?
I really think that as of now, we are partially upgraded and we're partially downgraded, because Taylor Decker, that left a massive, giant, incredibly huge hole. So even if we get a rookie like Caden Proctor, Monroe Freeling, any of these, the bigger prospects in the draft, even if we get the best left tackle prospect in the draft, I don't know who you would consider that to be, Fanu or one of the other ones. No matter who it is, it's still going to leave a hole at left tackle, because Taylor Decker was a 10-year veteran. So you're going to lose out on everything the other players would learn around him, the stability around him, and just his experience. So now you have someone fresh, brand new. They may be more physically talented, but they're not going to have the experience that Taylor Decker is going to have, when he go up against a Garrett, okay, for the Browns. When we played the Browns sometime, this new guy, he's not going to have the experience to know what Garrett's swim move is or any of that. So you're losing out on a lot of valuable knowledge, and you're trying to replace it with physical ability. So that's leaving a giant hole. But on the other end of things, I think that Cade Mays over Glasgow is a huge improvement. Huge improvement. And I think keeping Tate Ratledge at right guard is better for him in the long run than moving him to center. I think the Lions were considering it, but getting this new center, that gives them the ability to keep Tate Ratledge in his natural position. You're not asking him to do something outside of the norm. And I just think that gives you a little bit more stability. So I think we're okay. We just need a left tackle. And the last question that Lions fans are going to ask is, are you as Brad Holmes keeping an open mind to moving Penei Sewell to left tackle, so that way when you get to the draft, you can take either the best left or right tackle that falls to you in the draft?
Okay. Trying to go through some of the chat here.
That'd be my biggest question. Is he considering moving Penei Sewell to the left?
Yeah, I've talked about it a little bit this week and over the weekend that I would say,
because if the best right tackle in the draft falls to you, do you take him over the second or third best left tackle that falls to you at 17? You try to move up and you can't. I just wonder if it is an absolute real option for them, or if they're just saying, nope, we're sticking them at left or at right, and we'll find somebody for the left.
Yeah, so like I said the other day, in this draft, so I think the Penei Sewell to the left side, it's not what they want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, they've said that themselves. It's not what they want to do. But this draft is kind of lining up to be no true left tackles that really have the physicality, to demand taking them, I guess, in the first round. Unless you're trying to convert, somebody from right to left. Even that I don't like. I really like a left tackle being a left tackle, just like I like a right guard being a right guard and a center being a center.
Yeah.
Leave them in their natural position with what they do good at. But that's just not to say that the NFL doesn't convert players, because they do it all the time. It's from our situation, from the Lions situation, what I see is this. You're trying to go in and win now with the roster that you have, the cap issues that you're up against. They have plenty of draft capital this year, next year, whatever. But they're at a point now where the roster is getting to that prime level. And when you're in your prime, it's time to strike, right? So if you were to bring in a guy that had to convert and that conversion doesn't go well and it takes a little bit of time for them to get their feet underneath them, you're extending that, I hate to use the word window, but you're hoping that it stays open for another season, because if left tackle becomes a problem, Jared Goff's going to be on his ass. And if he's on his ass, we're not winning games. So if Penei Sewell's over there, I think that happens less. And then at right tackle, I believe you can have, to a lesser degree, more mistakes, simply because Jared Goff can see it. He has a better feeling of it. His peripheral vision is over there. He can't see behind him, but he can see in front of him, and he can take a step up into the pocket, or he can evade, or whatever he needs to do. He's pretty good at doing that. I wouldn't take a risk on bringing in a right tackle and saying I need to throw you over to the left side just to keep Penei on the right. Caden Proctor, to me, is the true blue chip left tackle in this draft. I just released one on Monroe Freely in a draft snapshot the other day. And I feel like he's more of a right tackle, going to stay at right tackle. I think he needs more. I think he needs more mass. He's not strong enough. His run game numbers prove that, and the tape proves that. He has a physicality problem trying to move guys when he's trying to climb up to the second level, or even in a down blocking scheme. And if he's one-on-one with a big powerful DT or a big powerful edge, he struggles. So I don't see that being a benefit to the Lions in the first round on the left side. Now, Brad and Dan may have a totally different idea there. They have way more film than I do. They have way more knowledge than I do. So they could bring him in and it may work. But from what I see, for someone that's been doing this for 3 years now, I don't, 3 years actively, scouting and doing this, but my whole life football, I don't see it. Now, Caden Proctor has his glitches, if you will. He has some things that he has to work on. But there's one thing that you can't control, and that is size and speed and everything else, right? You can't just grow a guy 2 or 3 inches. You can't just give a guy, an extra inch or two in their hand size. You can add some pounds to him. You can take some pounds away, and you can't add speed. The dude jumped a record-setting vertical at 352 pounds. That tells you that he has the burst and the ability in those thighs of his that are like cannons to be able to get out on the edge. And I get it about Caden. There's some concerns that, against Cassius Howell, that he kind of got sillied up a little bit. And he did on a couple of plays. But for a guy that only gave up 2 sacks, let's judge the guy by his losers because he has so few too, right? He gave up 2 sacks. It's a pretty damn good season.
And that was very early on too, right?
And it was. So he was at 370 pounds. When he drops down to 350 or 355 or 358, I think is where he was, last year at Bama, he moves much better. And so it's very simple, man. Who was I talking to yesterday? It was, all 22 and Raw, but all 22. And I told him, I said, if you bring in a guy like Caden, you got to give him the weight management control treatment. And that is, we're going to give you a chef. We're going to give you a nutritionist. You're going to pay for it, but you're going to have all these things in front of you. You're going to have your meals made for you. You're going to be on a strict diet. You're going to be on a strict regimen. And he's like, the old Miami Heat, method back in, I don't know, it was like the 80s, 90s. I don't remember now. It was way back, but I think it was the 90s. So they were giving, it was for Shaq, I believe, giving him the, the old Miami Heat treatment where he's got to stay in good physical shape. And I think he does. I mean, that video that I shared with everybody on here was incredible. And I told him that when I talked to him in the hallway at the combine. I said, dude, when I watched that video, I shared it with everybody on my channel. He said, what channel? I said, I told him, but I said, when I watched that video, I said, that really put all of the mystery about you to bed. Because I saw a guy that can move, and you're not even at your best peak physical shape yet. Like, you're probably still growing, honestly. I mean, he's a young dude, and if he's able to move like that now, imagine where he's going to be at in his second year of the NFL. The first year, these guys are still learning. They're still cutting weight. They're still getting stronger. You put him in an NFL regimen, and I'm telling you right now, by year 3, the dude could be an all-pro. You can't replace size like that. You give me a massive human like that on the outside, not only is it going to be difficult for anybody to get in or anyone to bend that edge, his wingspan and his mitts alone are going to stop guys from getting around. All he has to do is get into that chest plate, and the minute he gets there, it's over. If he can get a long stab arm and he just peppers you around the arc, it's over. Jared Goff can take one small step up and toss that football downfield to J-Mo. So Caden Proctor needs to be on this team if we're not going to do anything in free agency. And outside of that, if you go into the second round looking for a left tackle, I'm sorry, they're not there. My opinion, I could be totally wrong. There's some other guys, in this draft that are pretty decent football players. But left tackle, there is a devoid of blue chip left tackles in this draft.
Is there a single left tackle worth signing in free agency right now?
That's a good question.
I don't know if there's anybody out there.
I think it requires more of a trade, honestly. Williams was getting released, right? Didn't Williams get released yesterday? Or he's about to get released?
Williams for who?
Trent Williams.
Oh, yeah. They were trying to work out a trade. Because he wanted way too much money or something.
Let me pull up my list here.
Here, I'll look up the latest on Trent Williams.
It's probably a good time to take a quick pause here while we're gathering some information. Do me a huge favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel right now. It just takes you 2 seconds. It really helps us out, helps us with the algorithm, and it tells YouTube to keep us in front of other people so you can get our news and updates. I promise you I'm going to do a much better job this year at getting more content out. Some of you that are new to the channel, which a lot of you are and have been over the last couple of days, thank you for watching and being part of it. I'm a cancer survivor that has just gone through a lot over the past couple of years, and I got out hot and heavy, did a really good first year, and I've kind of had some issues in between with health, so I'm trying to get back to where I was, but that's why we need more people. So if you want to do content, if you want to write, if you want to help, if you're good at video editing, it's a good way to make a little side income. Reach out to me, mailbag@rockdown.com. I'll be more than happy to help you along the way. It's your journey. Just be part of the network and help us all grow together. But more importantly, you can find and follow me at DetroitFootballJournal.com. That's where I put up all of my articles, and I'm giving away 6-month subscriptions for free. And that's because we want to grow. Our number one focus is growth here and getting out good information, factual information, none of the fluff, none of the clickbait. Like, that's just not what I do. I'm all about deep research, right? And having thought-provoking conversations based on facts. I'm not going to tell you that Max Crosby's coming to Detroit, and yeah, I'm not going to do all that. I'm going to tell you what's happening, what's real, what's not real, and, I think I have a pretty good batting average. So I'd love to see you over there. It's free again. All you got to do is put in your email, hit the free account, and I'll get you upgraded within a couple of days. I do it once a week. I upgrade everybody. So I'm going to continue doing that, at least for the time being, and that may go away at some point. But at least for right now, I want to get everybody a free subscription.
So Trent Williams, he is not a free agent right now. The San Francisco 49ers are open to trading Trent Williams. And the report that arrived on the heels of an earlier report in the offseason from ESPN that the two sides are struggling to find a contractual solution to reduce his scheduled $38.8 million salary cap hit for this season. And right now, he has zero guaranteed money on his deal. If he is cut post June 1st, it saves the team $25 million in salary cap. And they can just release him, and they don't owe him any guaranteed money.
So the problem with him is he's 37 years old.
And very expensive.
And I think that if he's cut, that changes things. Like if he's released, that changes a lot. Because then he can sign anywhere he wants. He'll get the money that he's got owed to him, whatever's left that's owed to him. I think you said there's no guaranteed money, but there's some sort of semblance of, money that would be owed to him. So, it would be a stopgap. It would be a 1-year rental. It wouldn't be the answer for the future. Yeah. And for that reason, I probably wouldn't do it. But outside of that, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to put it in a Q&A right now. What free agent or trades would you consider for left tackle? Let us know in the chat, obviously, in the comments later. Do us a huge favor too, man. We don't get a ton of comments. I used to get a ton, hundreds. We don't get a ton of comments on the live shows because everyone's in the chat. But if you just take a second, you slide over to the comments and just start filling up some comments, and whatever questions we're asking or whatever we're talking about. It's good to always sprinkle in a couple of comments, or even after the show, if you want to sprinkle in a couple of comments. I don't care if you just put a one pride in there, go Lions, or I hate Brad Holmes. I don't care what it is. Just throw it in there. It all helps. So free agents right now, if we're looking at best available.
There's nobody.
For left tackle, right?
Yeah, because the number one they have listed is Taylor Decker.
Yeah.
And then Cam Robinson under him, James Hudson, Kelvin Beachum, Cornelius Lucas, DJ Humphreys, Landon Young. I mean, there's nobody I would even want to take a chance on other than as a backup.
I think you have to look at the problem is this. How good or bad was Taylor Decker with that shoulder last year? What kind of deficit were we in when he was on the field because he just wasn't fully healthy? And if he was fully healthy, how much better could he have been? Because there's no doubting the fact that when he was healthy, I think he was playing at a pretty high level to start. Yeah. And even last year, I thought that he played at a fairly good level. All things considered, it was a much different offensive line because we had Kevin Zeitler on the line also. It was a pretty dominant offensive line. So I think the goal is you need to at least match what you had there, and then you try to amplify it through scheme. And I think that that's where, through scheme, that you're going to see some changes this year. And so I'm going to throw that bone out there too. Chew on this. What if the Lions are looking at free agency? And I mean, you need a left tackle. I'm not saying that. What if they're looking at this and saying, okay, we probably lied to everybody and said we're not going to do a bunch of 13 personnel, right? What if they come into this doing a lot of 13 personnel? I don't care if it's 10%, 15%, or 33% like the Rams, which is unconscionable. 33% is nuts.
Well, they have 800 tight ends.
But that's the thing. So is tight end going to be a bigger factor right now and in the draft, or is tackle? And if you look at what they're doing with the guys that they're bringing in, okay, Scruggs can play all up and down the line. Borum can play all over the line. Manu's a massive human that can play right or left side. They have versatility coming back to this offensive line. So if they're going to be running more jumbo sets and 12 and 13 personnel, well, then you kind of lessen the blow on the left tackle, don't you? Because if you're on the short side of the field and you don't really need, to chip someone down there, depending on how they overload the defense on that side. If they do, you obviously, call your shift, you send your guy down. So if you've got a swing tackle out there that's going to go and double up on the left side, maybe that's how you get away from it. You keep Panay on the right, but we're going to designate that extra blocker to the left side every time. And that could be a tight end, and it could be an extra offensive lineman. If it's 13 personnel, you've got an extra tight end. If it's 12 personnel, you might have the jumbo set and extra offensive lineman. I'm just saying, the dudes are smart, and Petzine's even smarter. So I would say that there is the ability, at least on the face of this, that they're going to consider the scheme that they're trying to put together to manufacture the protection on the left side if they can't find a bona fide left tackle in free agency, and they have to trust a rookie in the draft to get them started here for 2026.
Ooh, Rob B just put something in the chat. Manu is our best option over any rookie, in his opinion.
Yeah, Robbie, I love you, man, but he's in love with Manu because he's Canadian. Let's just be honest. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I would say that's not true though. I wouldn't believe that, Raw. I would think that Caden Proctor is going to outduel Manu any day of the week. Any day of the week. Anyone but Proctor, you could probably give a 5-6 round fight to, but even Monroe Freeling, I think, could be a better matchup. But Manu's got the size, and you can't replace the size and his nimbleness and his agility. I mean, Manu is a special human. He really is.
We have a 1-game sample size from Manu. That's it. Other than practice and watching him in the end zone in pregame warmups. That's it. We just don't have a whole lot on Manu. And as far as these free agent left tackles go, there really isn't anyone out there. And I'm just going to tell you why, because going just by market value, just the market value of these guys, it goes from Taylor Decker at 21 million market value to Cam Robinson at 13 million market value to James Hudson at 1.2 million. So all the rest of these guys are basically 1 to 2, maybe 3 million. And they're all, every single one of them is just a vet minimum contract is what you're looking at. Do we want a guy that's just a vet minimum? I don't think we do. Now, there is one name on here that I don't know what has happened with him yet. And his market value is at $20.2 million. And that is Green Bay's Rasheed Walker. And I don't know exactly how he did as left tackle for Green Bay, but it looks like his market value is up there at 20.2 million. And I haven't heard anything about him going anywhere yet. So he'd be probably the only one that would interest me at all.
A former Packer?
Yes.
Did you hit your head this morning?
Oh, I don't want him because he's a Packer, ex-Packer, but look how TJ Lang worked out.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Does my video look all extra green? For some reason, when I'm wearing this green shirt, that it looks like my face looks like I'm olive.
Yeah, you're a little washed out today on my
washed
on my
out.
phone.
Or here, let me turn
Yeah.
my ISO down.
Your contrast is a little off. Might be from when we were down in Indy. Yes, J Mommy Manu is going into his 3rd year. He did not play at all in his first year. He played 1 game in his 2nd year, got hurt, and now is going into his 3rd. And Walker is going to be too expensive. He's looking for 4 years, 80 million. That is very expensive. But he might not get what he's asking for or looking for. He might not get it from the Packers, and he might not get it from us. And excuse me. Isn't that very strange that all 4 teams in the NFC North, all 4 teams are looking for a center? So isn't that kind of a weird thing that all 4 teams in the NFC North are looking for a center, and almost all of us are looking for a left tackle?
Well, hey, at least we're not the only ones.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bears just got a center from the Patriots. We just got a center from the Panthers. I don't know what the Packers or the Vikings have done at center yet. And someone was saying that Walker is looking for 4 years, 80 million, and he might be too expensive for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
He might be too expensive for everyone, so he might just sit there doing nothing. He might not get the money that he wants. You never know.
You know, there is a name. I got to look this guy up. I haven't paid attention to him in a while. Let me close out my... Too many windows open. I wonder if Joseph Noteboom, the Ravens, is available. I don't remember how old he is. Is he on your list? I don't know what list you're looking at.
I'm looking at Spotrac. I do not see him on my list. Oh, Joseph Noteboom. Yes. His value is 1.59 million.
That's it?
That's it.
Why is it so low?
And he's 30 years old. He's going to be 31 this season. His previous contract was $2 million per year.
Yeah, maybe he's a little bit past his prime. Probably pass on Noteboom. Trying to think of anybody else like Justin Skule. I mean, there's another one that, you know, he's got some time in at left tackle, but guys like Aiden Hutchinson just tore him apart.
Yep.
You know, and I don't want to see that happen against us. You know, I feel like you got to take into consideration what we've been able to do, you know, versus some of these guys. How about DJ Humphries?
For the Los Angeles Rams, his is at 1.2 million, his market value. That would be cheap.
He hasn't had an injury since 2023, which is helpful.
He's 32 years old, same age as Taylor Decker.
Again, you're looking for a stopgap, right? If you're bringing in a rookie,
and he's had 11 seasons.
He only played in 8 games last year, so I don't know why, unless he was just on a rotation filling in for someone. But that was a pretty damn good football team. I'm going to have to go take a look at some tape on Humphries. So I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility that at least, you know, the Lions have an option there. I mean, he had some playing time on a pretty good, you know, team last year. Who else is available free agency-wise? I mean, if they really want to spend some money, you've got Cam Robinson. And then you're looking to about a $13 million deal. Let's take a look
Yeah.
at Cam real quick.
And he's 30 years old with 9 years of experience.
That's the problem. All these guys are going to be older.
Yeah. And this morning, there is nothing going on anywhere. I haven't seen a single deal.
They're all sleeping in, man.
I guess so. They were up late doing that Green Bay contract for that corner.
They're all sleeping in late.
I thought today would have been kind of more even busier because the contracts are less today, you know.
What do you mean?
The second tier. They're not the top tier guys getting the huge money. It's going to be the second tier guys.
Yeah, but the contracts are still, you still have some big names out there. Contracts won't be done until tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're just all agreed to in principle. And I would say a lot of this stuff is, you know, a lot of these guys that they're looking at targeting, they've done the homework on them. So I'm sure that a lot of their contracts are boilerplate. All they're doing is dropping in the numbers. And
I'm wondering if it's a little slower this year too, because they get to do Zoom meetings with all these guys now.
Well, 5. I think it's just 5.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's just 5.
But you actually get to talk to the guys.
Well, legal tampering, you can talk to them too. I think it's just a little bit different now where you can talk to the players versus just the agent.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's Cam Robinson. 1 year, $12 million was his previous. What I don't is voided. Yeah, he's definitely a free agent.
Wow, they got a bunch of void years on his stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all going to hit this year. Okay, so when I zoom in, it's not giving me the things that I want to do here. I don't want to manage his contract. On his market value. There we go. $13.1 million for one season. Played 16 games last year for the Browns. Now I haven't done any film review on him, so I can't tell you how bad or good he played. But I don't think Cleveland had a very good offensive line last year. Injury-wise, hasn't been injured since 2023. Had a knee in 22, had COVID-19 in 21, and had a knee in 2018. He's got knee problems. That's not good. Not for $13 million. You give me Cam Robinson around $7 million, I'd be okay. That's probably not going to happen. You know, I think that's the problem that we have right now. So if you look at the list, the same list that we looked at yesterday, Taylor Decker's an out. Let me pique your interest here in a tinfoil hat idea.
All right.
Let's just say that this whole Taylor Decker thing was pre-planned.
Okay.
They act like there's a feud. They act like there's a problem. If Taylor Decker doesn't go to any team at all right now between now and training camp, did this whole thing surface just to be able to release him and then not have to pay him that salary, right? So they open up all that cap space. They save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And then he's available throughout the season to come back.
Yeah.
Any idea with that?
Yeah, they could just bring him back.
Yeah, but I guess I'm asking you the question, Eric. Do you feel like that could happen? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know, skip training camp and all the crap and bring you back on whatever salary. So you're getting something, and he doesn't have to do the wear and tear of going through camp and everything else. What the hell does he need to do any of that for?
Well, I mean, yes, I guess what I'm saying here is it a deal where it's, you know, it's kind of like those handshake deals, like, hey, we're going to release you. Let's make it a bigger story than it has to be. And then we'll just plan on the fact that you're going to come back when we need you, if we need you. And either way, if we're having a good season, we're going to bring you back anyway for the playoffs. And that way you can come, you know, finish what you started here.
And I think those kind of deals happen way more often than we think.
I think so too.
And they're easier to break because if somebody calls you during the season and says, hey, we need you over here. Oh, they're offering me, $10 million to go over here for the rest of the year. What do you guys think? All right, see ya. I'm going over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not breaking a legal bond. You're just breaking your word.
Yeah, I've been talking about this, for a few days now, that the whole Taylor Decker thing doesn't make sense. And I think it was Sunday night where I first kind of had the thought process of, it just doesn't make any sense, because he's been a well-respected lineman, leader, locker room guy. I mean, he's been with the Lions forever. I would never expect that they would mistreat a player, especially somebody like Taylor Decker. He's put everything on the line for that team, playing injured all last season. He didn't have to, right? But he did. And I get it. They want to pay him less because he's 32 and a half years old and he's got degenerative shoulder issues and it's not going away, and they can't afford to pay him $21 million and have him play 50% of the snaps. So if they were trying to restructure his deal and they didn't like it, or he didn't like it, felt slighted by the idea, well, then I could see where, things could break down pretty quickly and then he just wants to walk out. But that just doesn't make sense to me either, because the other conversation is, you don't have to ask for your release, Decker. Like, they could have just released you anyway. So that just doesn't make sense to me. If conversations broke down and the Lions felt like they needed to walk away permanently, they would have just announced a release, as opposed to Decker putting it out there first. You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, we don't have those issues. We haven't had those issues at all since 21. None of that has gone on, at least externally. Internally, there might be some things, but externally, we haven't had players come out and speak out, against the team like that, especially from a long tenured veteran.
Yeah. And when you have multiple stars on your team, Decker and Demo, ask for their release, that is very strange.
Well, Montgomery didn't ask for a release.
Well, he asked to be traded.
Well, you don't know that either. That's the rumors, right? That he wanted out. That's all rumors.
Yeah.
So he was traded, and I think that, with Dan and Brad addressing it at the combine, and prior to that in press conferences to end the season, they both alluded to the fact that David Montgomery was going to be traded, and it was partially because they felt they can't give him what he wants. He can't be the lead back, and maybe he deserves to be somewhere else. And also, maybe he's not happy with his role. But, for Jordan Schultz or whoever put it out there that Demo wanted to be, wanted out, and Demo fired back and saying, hey, I didn't say that. And I'm not saying that players don't lie or fabricate things. I'm sure that all that crap goes on. But I have far more respect for what Brad did, putting him in the place that he wanted to be. Because if there was any ill will at all between David Montgomery and the team, then they would have shipped him to Arizona, or they would have shipped him to some other team that's trash, Miami. You know what I mean? They wouldn't have given him an opportunity to win, because he has a legit opportunity to win in for the Texans. And then Jay Cruz, and I saw your message in there. Yes, Decker has been released. It was official yesterday.
Yeah.
So he's officially released. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back here. 30 seconds, maybe a minute, whatever it is. Be right back.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jameer Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs through the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone!
Yes.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Off to throw again, does, middle, J-Mo angling to the end zone, touchdown Detroit Lions! J-Mo flips into the end zone for 6.
Nice job. You talking about gut punch up the middle, then talking about tossing it on the edge, and once you get him out on the edge, Sonic is gone.
Inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5, touchdown Detroit Lions, 44 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs putting together a day.
Hat trick. Nice job.
There's your victory formation. Kyle Allen will take the snap, take a knee, and that'll do it. Two teams will meet out in the middle of the field to say job well done, job better done on this day by your Detroit Lions. As for just the second time since 1939. Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
All right. So, anything happening yet?
Yeah, there's been two minor things. The Steelers are signing former Panthers standout Rico Dowdle. And then...
That happened yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then the Giants are expected to sign former Jaguars cornerback Greg Newsome to a 1-year deal.
I thought that happened yesterday, too.
Yeah, it's the only things I've seen so far this morning.
They're just regurgitating right now.
Yeah.
All right, let me refresh the official. I went through this yesterday. It's forever. I wish they would put some dates on this stuff, but they did not. Let's see if there's anything new.
Yeah, everybody's putting the Newsome thing 8 minutes ago.
Which team was that again?
To the Giants, Greg Newsome.
Let me roll to the Giants. Giants, here we go. Okay, so they did not officially release that yesterday. I wish we had to have a count between how many re-signings we had and how many we didn't. What'd you think about the Mike Evans deal, man? Leaving Tampa Bay after, 10, 11 seasons? 10 seasons, I believe.
Yeah.
Did you hear or, kind of read what he was saying about that whole thing?
That it wasn't about the money?
No, not that. That he wanted to challenge himself, like he, with what he has left. He felt he felt like, a challenge was in order. I thought that was pretty impactful coming from a guy that has nothing left to prove to be a Hall of Fame, player. Like he's done everything. He's won a Super Bowl. He's had 10 consistent seasons of 1,000 yards, or at least 9. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has nothing left to prove. And then here he wants to go and challenge himself and get out of the norms of the daily habits, and I find that inspiring, man, that even at his age and what he's done with his career, that he still wants to go do more. Pretty inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
All right, nothing yet. Let's take a look at our salary cap table just for a moment here and see what we're working with. I don't think we've had any changes. Now that everything is official, I'm pretty positive we don't have any changes.
Are the Detroit Lions cap compliant yet?
Oh, they've been cap compliant, yeah.
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 I figured with the Decker news that would pull them to be positive.
Yeah, and I think that was, as of Monday, their number hasn't changed. So they're still at 5.5 million in total cap space here.
So do you think there is any chance that they do not restructure Goff this year and they just eat it?
There's always that chance, but I'm going to lean on, again, what I was advised. And I'm trying to figure out the numbers, right? I was advised and told the other day that it's north of 50 million that they have freed up. And if you do all the math, which I did yesterday when I was live, if you do all the math, it actually makes sense to that number, because you've got 13.5 million that you have to spend on your rookies, roughly. They only have 51 players now. So their top 51 cap allocation is what it is right now, with 5.5 million left. They still need at least 8 more million to sign their rookies. And then you still need 39 more players on this roster. So we have 9 draft picks, I believe, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we have 10 now.
10 with our comp pick yesterday.
Well, I factored in the comp pick before. We only it changed from a 6th to a 5th. Right?
Let's see. Well, we have a first, a second, a 2 fourths, 2 fifths, 3 sixths, and a 7th.
Okay, so that's 10.
Yeah.
We have 2 fourths? Oh, that's right. I forgot about the David Montgomery deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's great, right? So we got 10 picks. When you look at this, then you've got 51 players. Let's say you use all 10 picks. Now you're up to 61. You still have 19 more players you got to add to that roster.
Mm-hmm.
Or 29 more players you got to add to that roster. Excuse me. How are you going to get to that? Even if you were to bring in 10 UDFAs, you're still way short. And then who do they have left to sign out of their own free agents, and how much is that going to cost? So let's just roll the numbers. If you got a scratch pad of paper or something next to you, if you want to just kind of tally it up.
I don't. Let's see here.
I got a pen. Oh, I do.
Oh,
I just don't have my book.
I got paper now. I found something. Got my Super Bowl sheet here. If my pen will work. That's
okay. So they have 5. We'll call it 5.6 is what they have now. Their rookies are going to cost. The rookies are going to cost about 13.5. Okay. Cap is 5.6. Rookies is 13.5. And you have 10 draft picks. So that number actually could push up probably a little bit closer to 15 with 10 draft picks. So we'll go 15 mil, 10 draft picks. Okay, I'm going to scratch out 13.5. And then that puts you at, here, I'm going to put players.
That'd be 20.6.
So you got 51. And then if you add 10 players, you've got 61. No, you're not adding the 15 mil to the 5.6, you're subtracting.
Oh, okay. So 9.4.
Negative. Right?
Yep.
Negative 9.4. So then you still have 29 players to add. At a minimum, that's 885,000, right? I just call it a million. Not that every cap hit is going to be $1 million, because the UDFAs are not guaranteed any sort of contracts outside of the minimum that they're guaranteed and the signing bonus that they get. But they don't get that money unless they play a game, from the way I understand it. They get their training camp wage, which I think is like $13,000 a day or something crazy like that. It's a decent number. Or $13,000 a week. I'd have to go back and look at the rules. We did last year. I forget what the number is. Well, let's just park $250K for each UDFA, and you sign 10 of them. So that's $2.5 million. And then you have 19 players you still have left to add. Well, let's take a look at our free agents and figure out which free agents, are coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, so Lions free agents. See, normally I would have done all this stuff. I would have done all this stuff throughout the year, and I just didn't do it this year. Normally I have it all on a spreadsheet, and it's all tracked and all that good stuff.
Wow, we got a lot of free agents. Absolute ton of them. Looking at the ages, man, a lot of them are older. 29, 30, 31. Well, we know 2 of them aren't coming back, Taylor Decker and Graham Glasgow, since they've been released.
Yeah, I want to look at the ones that are still available. Okay, what the hell's here? Available. There we go.
We got DJ Reader. He'd be the biggest one.
Okay, so let's say DJ Reader comes back. They're giving him a market value of $3.9 million. That's just hogwash. Like, he signed a deal with Detroit that was what, 2 for 20 or 2 for 15?
His previous AAV was 11 million. So he was getting 11 per season.
Go back and look. Yeah, it's 2 for 22. So yeah, that makes sense. So how does he go from 11 million to 3.9?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, does it? Okay, let's say they bring DJ Reader back. All right, so we'll go DJ, and we'll call it 7.5. We'll just be uber conservative. 7.5. So now you're at negative 9.4. You added a negative 2.5 to that. That puts you at 11.9, and then you add another 7.5. That's 12.4. That's negative 19.4, right?
Okay.
Are you on the same boat? We flying the same plane here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we know Graham's not coming back. Khalif Raymond, I'm skeptical and I'm doubting that he comes back. I think that you have enough with Dominic Lovett and Jackson Meeks and Jacob Sailors to take care of your punt and kick return duties.
Mm-hmm.
And if I would say, to be honest with you, I think that Jacob Sailors was much more explosive, and I think that Tom Kennedy was much more explosive than Khalif Raymond was last year.
At this point right now, I would rather have Tom Kennedy back than Khalif Raymond, even though Khalif Raymond was an all-pro just 2 years ago.
Yeah, an all-pro, yeah, or 3 years ago, I think. But an all-pro for what? Punt returns.
Yeah. And he's 31.6 years old this year, right now.
31.6 years old.
So he's going to be 32 this year. You want a 32-year-old wide receiver kick returner?
Did someone just say BB's coming back?
Who?
Oh, BB's coming back from injuries? Okay. All right, so then... Yeah, the Crosby miss won't haunt anybody. It was never a miss. That would have been the stupidest move ever. Like, if we don't have money now, how would we have money with Crosby?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Let's wake up, man. Let's wake up. We've got 19 holes, not one. What did Jay-Z say? I got 99 problems, but Edge ain't one. I think that's why the song went. And now I'm going to make a new song today. Let me write that down. I'm making a new song. I got 99 problems, but Edge ain't one. That is trademarked. Don't F with me. All right, Cleve Raymond, I'm out on. Marcus Davenport, I doubt it. Josh Pascal, I doubt it. Grant Stewart, I think he'll be back.
I could see him back.
All right, so Stewart, it says his market value is 1.5, we'll call it. His AAV was 1.7. I'm gonna lock him in at $2 million. So now we're down to negative 21.4. Daniel Thomas. Definitely want to see him back. We need some safety help. Raw B's about to get 86th.
Why is that?
Just messing with him. Okay.
Which show is he referring to?
I don't know. He's being funny. All right, so Daniel Thomas, his AAV last year was 1.5. His market value is 2.5. Let's lock him in at 2.5. Are you good with Thomas?
Yeah. He's fine.
Let's lock him in at 2.5.
Legion of Whom, we got to get him back.
All right, so now we're down to 23.9. Okay, Avante Maddox. You know, he's going to be 30 years old, and quite honestly, I think he's got an important role on this team because he can play all over the field. And when he was back in the single high safety last year, I think he did a pretty good job, to be honest. I think he did a pretty good job. And right now we need continuity above all else. We need continuity. We need bodies. It doesn't mean that they're going to finish in the final 53. But at least for camp purposes, we need to get to 90 men that can go in and compete. And I believe that Avante Maddox would be smart. Oh, Trace just released some breaking news here that Tom Pelissero just stated on X that Green Bay is releasing Nate Hobbs. That's interesting. I don't know that he had a good year last year. I don't think he did.
Yeah, you're talking about Hobbs, the big giant.
He's a corner.
Yeah, but he. Oh, the corner. Okay, cornerback Nate Hobbs. Oh, okay.
All right.
I was thinking Dobbs, not Hobbs.
Okay, so we are at 19, 18, down to 17 players, and now we're going to bring back Maddox. Maddox AAV last year was 1.4. It's saying it's 1.7. Let's just lock him in at $2 million to be a little overextension. So now we're down to 25.9. And we still have 15 players to go. We've already locked in our top 51. We added 10 draft picks. We added 10 UDFAs. So 20 players after and before and during the draft. And now we're looking at our free agents. Al-Qadim Muhammad, let's just say he comes back. Because, again, continuity. I don't care if it's a 1 or a 2 year deal. Last year he got paid $1.50. This year he's going to get $8 million. I'm going to call it $8 million. So now we're down to 33.9. I'm going to get rid of that 0.9 here. We got to add a 0.1 to somebody. Kawadi Awasaka, he's not coming back.
See ya.
Jalen Mills, he didn't do anything for us last year, but that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity there. I'd rather see Arthur Mollett back, even though he's going to be 33 years old. I think he still has something left in the tank, and I thought he played extremely well in limited spurts.
I
like
Mollett.
And he has that veteran experience that I think will lend to credibility of this team. So let's bring Mollett back. We'll call him 1.6 mil. So now we should be down to 35.5.
Yep.
Okay. Zach Cunningham, as much as I appreciated his efforts last year, and I thought that he was actually pretty good until he got injured, being at his older age, I thought that he was hanging, man. I thought that he was doing pretty well. And at 32, he'll be 31 years old. He'll be 32 this time next year. He'll be 31 throughout the season. I'd say that they might bring him back, even though I personally wouldn't. We need linebackers. What do you think about Cunningham?
I'd be okay whether he stays or goes.
All right, let's call that 1.5.
Okay, so that puts you at 37.
Yep, we're at 37 now. See how these numbers just keep on growing, and we're barely paying these dudes. This is what fans need to do. Just take 30 minutes and do this stuff because it'll open your eyes as to why you can't afford Max Crosby or anybody else that's making ass loads of money. Tristan Colon, yeah, I think that ship sailed.
Yeah.
Anthony Ferksker, last year he actually caught a few balls, but he's 31. I'm good on that one.
I'm good there too.
Rocky Sin's got to come back.
You bring him back.
He'll be 30 throughout the season. I think he was playing just fine. It says his new market value is about 1.3.
2 or 3 million.
Yeah, let's bring him back on the 2 million.
Okay, so now you're at 39.
Still got 12 players to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have that many free agents. Tom Kennedy, he's coming back.
Yeah. You can just keep him at what he was, 1.5 probably.
Yeah, we'll call it 1.5 just for ease of numbers right now. Even if we're a couple of million over, like it's not that big a deal. You're talking a player or two at max.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're at what, 40.5?
Yep.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah.
And then what we have left on the board is Jamarco Jones, Tyrus Wheat, Trevor Nowaski, Malcolm Rodriguez, and DiCaprio Boodle. I think that Wheat is obviously going to test free agency. We know that. I think he comes back. Unless the Seahawks, I think he was out with the Seahawks last year, or the Rams want him back. He could come back.
Well, that was the Cowboys, wasn't it?
I don't even remember, dude. I thought we got 3 players from one team or something like that last year.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys. We got Eddie Lacy and Tyrus Wheat from the Cowboys last year.
So let's just bring him back just for grins right now.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna put them all in one. I ran out of room on this piece of paper, so I'm gonna go Wheat. I'm gonna go Wheat, Nowaski, and Rodrigo.
You think we can get Rodriguez back for $1 million?
I'm gonna lump them all together for $5 million.
Okay, so that puts you at 45.
45.5, right?
Yeah.
45.5. And so that would be 11, 10, 9, 8. 11, 10, 9, 8. We still need 8 more players.
Yeah, and those are going to have to be free agents.
Well, other free agents, because I don't see them coming out of our own free agency pool.
Yeah, and you'd need them with in $4.5 million to get 8 players.
Yeah, $4.5 million to get 8 players ain't going to happen. So when I said it was north of 50 that the Lions freed up, I don't know if that's north of 50, including what's already on the cap, if it's north of 50 combined, or what the true number is. But we do know this: they probably didn't clear up $102 million. That we talked about, or I talked about a few weeks ago, that they could absolutely clear that with a few moves. But by getting rid of Glasgow and trading Montgomery, making some room with Decker, they've at least made a dent. But, ladies, gentlemen, we're still at least $55 million in the hole to be able to field the team. Now, even if we were to shave some of these down, like there's only 2 decent-sized contracts. And forgive my writing because it's terrible. Trying to write on a mouse pad. all these contracts here, the biggest ones I have are DJ Reader and AQM at 7.5 and 8 million. Everybody else was under 2.5 million, with a handful of them around 1.5. So you're talking extremely inexpensive players, and we still need $55 million. Now, there's a difference with how much money you actually have to put out and how much actually goes to the books and all that good stuff. But I would say that we need no less than $50 million total to field the team. Because a lot of these go away too after cut day. You get down to your top 51. Your top 51 is what matters, but they still need money to pay these players. But your top 51 is what matters. Right now they're under the cap with 5.6, and they still have a boatload of players that they need to sign. So how does that change? This is how it changes. That 5.6 is now, if you take your top 51, which is what we have right here. Let me throw this back up on the screen. This is how it changes. You have to go look at the bottom end. So right now they're counting nothing for Larry Borum. They're counting nothing for Cade Mays in this figure of 5.5. Well, until we know what the contracts are, we don't know how those two contracts are going to affect the Lions, top 51. But these numbers right here, like 885, 885, 885 for Jabari Small, Mason Miller, Jackson Meek, Seth McLaughlin, those numbers are going to get outdone by if you bring back a DJ Reader at 7.5 million. So now that just that one contract for DJ Reader, you are now back negative. Now you're back over the cap. And then if you bring in back AQM, well, now you're going another further $8 million, over the cap. So now you're close to 10 million negative already just with those two signings. This doesn't even include any other free agents that the Lions are considering. So every contract that you add over 885 million or 885,000 is going to push you more negative. And a large majority of these contracts, I mean, look, Giovanni Manu is 25th. Well, that's his age. I'm sorry. He is, what number is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 23, so I was close. He's 23rd on the list. Our 23rd guy on our top 51 is making $1.2 million. And we are struggling to maintain cap health. This is why the conversation needs to be had at a higher level with fans to say, look, stop dreaming that you can afford all these players. Because if we can barely afford to pay guys $1.2 million, the reason is up here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 33. Ali McNeil, 28. Penei Sewell, 28. DJ Reed, 17. Aiden Hutchinson, 10. Wait till next year. Wait till Aiden Hutchinson starts getting paid 25, 35, 45 million. Right? Wait till, Jared Goff's, his contract will come back down next year. Or it could maintain around 40 million a year, 43 million a year once they convert it. That gives you a little bit of relief. But these contracts are only going to get bigger and worse. In 2027, Jack Campbell is expected to make 21.9. Jahmyr Gibbs, at least 14.3. Ali McNeil's 27. Amon-Ra's 28. Penei Sewell's 32. Where's Aiden Hutchinson? Aiden Hutchinson goes up to 16. Let's go to 2028. Jared Goff is still at 61. Amon-Ra shoots all the way up to 41. Penei goes up a little bit more to 34. Aiden bounces up to 21. Go to 29. Aiden Hutchinson's $54 million. Jared Goff's not on the team anymore. We got nobody on the team. We got 11 players. 11 players. And in 28, we have 18 players. That's not good. In 27, we have 26 players. And we only have $68 million in cap space so far. So these are the numbers that people need to look at and talk about more often than just hey, I like that name. I like that player. Let's bring him in at $40 million. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. You know, you're governed by a checkbook in the NFL, and unfortunately, everyone has to play by the same rules. And the only reason why other teams are able to do certain things, Eric, you know this as well as anybody, is because, like you said earlier, the Raiders have sucked. And so the Lions were in that position before 2021. They had a massive amount of dead cap that Brad and Dan had to figure out. They did. They were able to build through the draft. In 2023, they hit a lot of good players, and then they signed a lot of good players over the last year and a half. And now we are starting to get back to cap issues because we've signed good players. We don't have bad debt because we signed good players. Before, we had bad debt because we signed bad players to bad contracts. It's a big difference. So we're in a good situation that we've got good players under good contracts, but it's still not conducive to going out and signing a bunch of big name free agents. Other teams like Seattle were able to spend some money on, $200 million on a quarterback and, 2-3 other players. Players like the Raiders that had close to $100 million to start the, free agency period and a boatload of draft picks. They've just been hoarding and stocking up. And now it's time to spend. But in 4 years from now or 3 seasons from now, that's all going to come to a head when you've got your first round draft picks that are going to start needing some contracts and your second round draft picks needing some contracts. And thankfully they got rid of Max Crosby because that just gave them a lot more operational capital. The Lions don't have that same issue. It's a different issue. It's hilarious to me that people think that we can just go out and spend all this money when we can barely field the damn team.
Mm-hmm.
Now they could just say, you know what? All right, screw it. We won't go to camp with 90. Well, then you can't even have training camp. You can, but everyone's going to just get washed out before the season. I think if the NFL was smart, they would add another 10 players to the 90-man, roster, do a 100-man roster, and they would make the 53 at least, 56 or 58. And you extend the practice squad from 16 to 20. I think that would be smart. Then you can keep more of your own players. There's less transition, right? There's less burn through, or less attrition, I should say, not transition. There's less attrition and less burn through of the players, and you can keep your team, in lockstep every season. So we're just up against it. Anything else happening yet?
The Minnesota Vikings 3-time Pro Bowl long snapper Andrew DePola is returning to the Minnesota Vikings on a 1-year, fully guaranteed $1.725 million contract.
Yippee, man. They breaking the bank.
Yeah, the Vikings finally signed somebody. And you haven't heard anything out of the Vikings. Well, they were $44.5 million underneath it. You've heard of them cutting a couple of guys and then trying to trade. Who was it, Grenard or somebody? There was a couple of them that they were trying to trade before the deadline, but I think they're just going to end up having to cut them because everybody knows they have to cut them.
So, Lord McQuaig, man, what's happening? Been a minute since I seen you in here. Hope you're doing well. Hope your farming season gets kicked off to a good year this year. Believes Italy McNeil is overpaid, and I don't believe so. I would say that at the time that contract was done, I just did this yesterday, that Brad saved a good amount of money, and not only that, I can't blame a player for getting injured. When he signed that contract, he was a top 10 defensive tackle in the league. Last season, and Lauren, I know you do your research. You're one of the best researchers out there. I did some research, and maybe this will interest you to go look at the same thing. If I can tie an article together about it, I will. The likelihood of a player returning from major injury in year one back to 100% is unlikely. It's always been that way. Aiden really outperformed last year, statistically. I wouldn't say play-wise that he outperformed, but statistically he did. I think his play was still suspect all over the place, especially in the run game. But players like Lee McNeil, 320-pound defensive tackle coming back from a major injury like that, they usually lose about 20 to 25% of their power, 25% of their production. And I think that's exactly what we saw last year with Lee McNeil. Now, he only played in 10 games, I think is what it was. He needed at least 4 or 5 games to get his feet underneath him. And then he also suffered another injury last year. I think it was core muscle, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember, Eric?
I don't.
Yeah. So I'm less concerned about a Lee McNeil. I think that he'll be just fine.
Did you see the workout video from Aleem from the other day?
No.
He had these boxes that went up in size, and he jumped up on the first box and then back down, and then jump up onto the second box and back down, and then jump over a pipe on the third one, and he just kept getting higher and higher. Dude's a friggin' kangaroo for his size. I'm telling you what.
We call that plyometrics. You didn't do that in high school?
No, he is.
What do they got you doing up there in the UP, man? You guys out there like pushing farm equipment around? What do you do up there to train?
We had a sled with some weights on it. That was it.
Huh. Yeah, we did plyometrics like that.
And we had a weight room. Old ass weight room from like the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, I busted up my shins bad. So back when we played, like they cared less about player safety, and the plyometric boxes that we had were all wood, and the corners were sharp. Right, it was just 2 corners come together on a 90.
Yeah,
and so when you hit your toes on the tip of the box, and then you come down, smack my shin. I got a divot in my shin. I got a divot in my shin from it still today, and it still hurts today if you touch it.
Yeah, that happened to me on a cement stairs at Lake Superior State University's hockey team stadium. I was carrying pizzas up the stairs, and my foot slipped because our feet had snow on them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I swear to God, I broke my leg. I still got a big divot in my shin from it.
Yeah, shins they suck, man. I don't know why it is so painful. But anyway, so Lee McNeil, I want to say that he had the abdomen injury Vikings game last year, Christmas Day. And he left the game, and I think he was questionable to return during that game, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So he battled last year. I mean, he played a few games, and then he injured his ab at core muscle, whatever it was. And so he struggled. He had a down year. I'm not going to dispute that. But the big contract that was just handed out to Jordan Davis at Philly, Lee McNeil is underneath that contract by a couple $1 million. So I would say, and he was way underneath it from a guarantee contract perspective. So I guess what I'm trying to say is Brad did a good job at getting him signed early. They would have had to have signed him the next year anyway. And yeah, had they waited a couple of weeks, he would have been injured, and who knows where the story goes. But I can't blame Brad for an injury. And I don't think that we can blame Lee McNeil for a down year coming off of a major, was it MCL? I think it was in his knee, right knee. Can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
There's no way. And Lee McNeil is not, he's not a pass rushing defensive tackle. He was more of that nose tackle that kind of moved to the 3 tech, and he has pass rush upside. His best year, I think, was 6 sacks in the league. I think he still got a couple last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm looking for him. Yeah, he's got to take a big step up this year. Like, we're not going to sugarcoat it.
You guys in the chat are funny. The UP will be getting Wi-Fi soon. Yeah, my old high school, man. Yeah, it was like from the 30s or 40s, 50s building. It was very, very old.
Yeah,
when I went to school back in the 80s and 90s.
Dog sleds and ox plows.
Yeah,
that's funny.
We literally had a sled out on the field, and you had a couple of the big foam things that you'd hit. That was about it. We were not a modern football school back in 89 through 93.
So there's a good question. Like Great Lakes State, Michigan guy says, well, why do they even come back the following year for half-ass play? Well, they're under contract, and it's not them coming back. They're under contract. They have to come back. And when they're cleared to play, they have to play. And if you're able to play, you're gonna play. It's not like the team is gonna say, yeah, you're cleared to play, you can do everything, but yeah, we're just gonna leave you on the bench and just pay you $25 million anyway. That would be dumb, number one. And two, how are they gonna replace it? How are you gonna replace that tackle, that defensive tackle, when the money doesn't exist? So, he got injured and he came back and the Lions expected him to be fine. But that happens with every player. It's not just the Lions. It happens with every team. It happens with every player that gets injured. And I would urge you to just take 30 minutes of your doom scrolling day, get off of TikTok or Instagram or whatever it is that you guys are on, Snapchat, things I don't use, and go do some real research about player injuries and when they come back, what happens. Like I said, I'll put the information together. It's going to take me a little bit because I got 50 irons in the fire right now, and put it up because it's good information. And my goal is that I'm trying to open your eyes up to that Brad is not this. Oh, I almost killed my coffee. Brad is not this evil dude, behind the scenes, just pulling the strings and saying, I don't care what happens next. I'm just going to pay these guys. I like my guys, and it is what it is. No, there's reasons and levels to everything. And level number one is you come back from a major injury, expect to have a down year. It's a throwaway season. I say it all the time. Look at Aaron Jones when he came back. Look at anybody when they come back. I don't care who it is, but look how they played against us. Look at injured players that came back that played against us. They did not have good games. Ever. So It's every team deals with that. Any other questions in the chat that I missed?
I don't know.
No, I got you, Great Lakes. I know it's a great question, man. It's a great question.
Yeah, here's one. I do like Ojabo, and he did have his best years at U of M across from Hutch. Let me guess, you're a U of M fan.
Yeah, but you know what? That U of M team was loaded, man. They had a ton of 4- and 5-star talent, so any offense going up against that team, you were more isolated one-on-one as a defender, and that's why a lot of those players had really good seasons and why many of those players haven't done a lot in the NFL because they're not transitioning to a team of the same caliber. One, it's college. Two, you've got all of these high-profile athletes in one area. An offense has to dictate one-to-one. They can't double up, and they're going to allow free rushers at that point. So take that stuff with I take that stuff within a grain of salt. That I got to look at what they actually did, and then also look at that last year with Aiden. U of M averaged a ranking of 80th offensive line that they faced that year. 80th. Only 2 in the top 25. So there's that too. I do a small amount of research if you haven't got that.
Mm-hmm.
I do a small amount. The minimum. What else we got?
Nothing. There is nothing going on today so far in this whole free agency.
All right, let me just call Brad real quick, see what the hell he's doing.
Everything. So what do we do about backup quarterback? That's going to be maybe we do take that green kid from Arkansas. We need someone, and it just might be a rookie this year instead of going with a proven veteran, because all the good proven veterans are basically gone.
Welcome to Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions.
Brad Holmes.
Calling your rep.
He didn't answer. Just kidding. Just fucking around. Yeah, let's open up the phone lines. What do you guys think we're going to do? If you guys want to call in, I totally forgot to do that. If you guys want to call in and talk about Lions season, Lions free agents, what's next? Numbers on the screen.
Kyle Van Noy is a free agent.
Isn't it interesting that some of these players go on to have really great careers outside of Detroit?
Yeah.
Can't say that I'm surprised.
This is the quietest second morning of free agency ever.
Uh-oh, hold on a sec. You got to hold on a sec. For some reason, my thing is saying to verify. I've never seen this before.
Robbie calling already?
I have no idea.
Oh, Jelani Tavai is a free agent also.
Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. We'll open up the phone lines. I got to get this figured out real quick.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Hands it to Gibbs, running right, runs through a tackle, gets down to the 10, Gibbs to the 5, still fighting, down to the 2, down to the 1, to the end zone! Yes. Touchdown, Detroit Lions! He did not quit!
Nice job.
Somebody's calling.
Yeah, I got it fixed. All right, phone lines are open now. It should be good to go. 313 podcast. It is super simple. Lock it into your phone, man. That is the number to give us a ring when we're live. We put up the call now sign, which is above our heads somewhere. You can call in and talk about your Lions. Free agency, draft, whatever. Oh, got to make sure you turn down that background noise, Kurt.
Yeah. I got you up on TV. Sorry about that, real well.
We're on TV.
How's that?
As long as I can't hear it, we're good.
All right.
What's happening today, Kurt?
So how you doing today?
We're doing, man. I survived the 8-hour marathon yesterday, so we're back at it today.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe they let Kyle Allen walk, and I don't know, it's weird. It's looking like maybe Brad's planning on filling all the holes with draft picks. I mean, we got 9 of them.
We have 10. Now. We have 10 now.
Do we have 10 now?
Yep, we have 10 now.
Pete,
so I guess let me give you a question, Kurt. I mean, we're talking about quarterback position. Is there anybody in the draft that you've looked at, or have you not gone that far? Is anybody in free agency?
Well, like I was saying yesterday when I spoke with you, I like Taylor Green. You brought up what was his name, Gentry?
I don't think so.
Or you brought up somebody from
Peyton?
That was available. Payne. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, so no, Peyton is just the one that the Lions have had a meeting with.
Yeah.
And it looks like we got another caller calling in. So do me a favor, caller. Just when Kurt's off the phone, when the caller's off the phone, you can call in right after that.
Yep.
So when we spoke yesterday, it was Peyton that the Lions had a meeting with, but hold on. But the guy that you were talking about, Green, that is actually our friend's. His company is the agent, so that's his client, and we had a little bit of information on him. Yeah, Green tore it up at the combine, but what we see here, I guess, is another potential. Like, I don't know enough about him other than the information that we were given that could be a UDFA. Could be a UDFA.
Yeah. If we were to sign Green, I think, or draft him, I think that Lions fans, you would have a very large swath of Lions fans that would finally be happy with our backup quarterback because we would have someone that is mobile.
Right. That's my thought is when I spoke to Will yesterday, I was thinking, what he scored at the combine just was outstanding. He has mobility, but Will made a good point. We need a veteran that knows the NFL game.
Go ahead, Eric. You can, whatever.
To me, I would rather have someone that they don't have to be super mobile. They don't have to score off the charts for me as a runner. I would rather have a pocket quarterback, someone similar to Goff. So there was a couple of quarterbacks there, and I need to bring my sheets in here. I don't remember name. I'm really horrible with names, but there was a couple of them, even Carson Beck. I wouldn't mind a quarterback like that. He's got the right size. He's a pocket quarterback. I would rather have someone like that rather than a guy that runs all around. But I know Lions fans as a whole, they want a mobile quarterback as the backup. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, they want a replica of like Patrick Mahomes or like you said, somebody that just scrambles around. Lamar Jackson. It's funny to me. I've been a Lions fan. Since I was a little kid. And not to not to put an age on myself, but I'm 56 years old, and I've seen it all. I don't understand where people come in from. Old Brad and Dan should be on the hot seat for their choices, and dude, we've had 5 pretty damn good seasons. I mean, even last year we had a winning season. I remember the days when we would have killed for a 9-8 record. It just baffles me that people are all pissed off and got their panties in a bunch. Oh, we need to win the Super Bowl. We need to win the Super Bowl. Take a look at the Bills. Would you say the Bills are a winning organization? A solid organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How many times have they been to? How many freaking times have they been to the Super Bowl and not won?
Yeah, 3 in a row for sure.
They haven't won a Super Bowl yet.
Yeah,
but they've been to the Super Bowl numerous times. I remember when they had Thurman Thomas that back in the '90s and stuff. Yeah, they were constantly 3 times in the Super Bowl. Yeah, it just I don't know. We are spoiled in this state with, win it all one season, and that should be the recipe forever. Well, no, teams go through rebuilding years, and if we're going through one, so be it. We'll get there. We will get there. Just have trust in Dan and Brad.
So the whole thing about a mobile quarterback, which, it makes sense that, you want someone on the roster that can do what you need on the scout team. It's for the teams that you're going up against. But if you look at the records of Super Bowls won, it's primarily been with a pocket quarterback.
Yeah.
Mahomes has won a few, right? But outside of that, how many other mobile quarterbacks have won a Super Bowl in the last 15, 20 years? Not many.
Yeah,
Not many.
Not many. So I'm going to stick with what works, and what works is Jared Goff, Tom Brady type, Sam Darnold type, Nick Foles type.
I just want a solid backup. I mean, I just want to know that we've got somebody in there that can win games. I don't care if it's Taylor Green, to be honest with you. I just, saw his RAS scores and everything and thought, ooh, he looks good. If he learns behind Goff for a season or two, he could develop into a great quarterback in the NFL and be something for the Lions, a QB of the future. But by the same token, it doesn't have to be him. I just want a solid backup that can, if Goff goes down, can come in and win some games for us and hold the fort.
So today in free agency, what do you think the Lions need to do today? We haven't done anything yet. We didn't do much yesterday. Where do you think they are?
I would be looking for some play. I don't know, maybe some safeties, or look at our biggest needs and see if there's somebody on the cheap that we can at least, even if they're going to play backup. We have to go into the draft and look for a starter with our higher picks. I don't know, but we've got a lot of needs. I might be thinking, looking through for a running back if there's any left.
Well, I don't think there's been a whole lot of running backs that have moved right now. And I don't know that running back is the answer in free agency. If you just got rid of David Montgomery,
right?
I don't know how you're going to repay.
Too, because a decent running back, you're going to pay him pretty much what you're paying Montgomery.
Exactly.
And it would make no sense as to why we got rid of him.
Exactly.
You're better off with the rookie, I think.
Yep, rookies that can be developed.
I think you guys got a point there.
All right, hey, thanks, Kurt. Appreciate the call, man, as always.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to let you go and let you get down to someone else and trying to call in.
All right, take care, man. We'll see you.
Yep, have a good day.
To me, if we're talking about who I would like to see them target today, Tariq Woolen, the corner.
He's already gone, is he not?
Is he gone? No, I thought he was still available.
I think he's gone.
Who signed him?
That's what we're going to go back and look at right now.
I didn't see anything on him yet.
I could have sworn I saw his name come up yesterday.
Here, let me look. Go to Seattle here. Yeah, says he's still available on here. Unrestricted free agent. And they're saying right around his market value is $8.1 million.
Okay, phone line's open for the next caller. Tell us what you think the Lions should do today in the second day of free agency. What are your biggest concerns about the Detroit Lions? Offensive line, running back, safety, defensive line? Is it edge still? Who's your best player, favorite player, wish list? Give us a ring, 313-podcast. Yeah, I could have sworn I seen his name pop up. I'm doing a little scan right now.
Yeah, I got nothing on him. It says he's still a free agent.
You know who I want to get today?
Who's that?
I want to make a trade for Max Crosby.
Hey, Hendrickson's still available.
Oh, he's going to Dallas, isn't he?
No, not yet.
It's not official yet.
Oh. Trace in the chat says Jets signing safety Dane Belton.
Yeah, I just saw that one pop up too. You know, you just mentioned. Oh, here we got 5 callers. Jesus. I'll just take the first one. All right, welcome into Rockhound Detroit Lions and the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Who do I got on the line with me today?
What's up, guys? My name is Vic Troja, calling from down in Cincinnati.
Ooh, Cincy, man. What's happening? How's it going?
So, kind of a thing here. So, been a Detroit Lions fan all my life, and then when I moved down to Cincinnati, I opened my practice up, and I started working with the PFF podcast down here as their injury expert.
Nice.
And so I just wanted to call in because my 2 cents on this one. So since Dan Campbell took over, the Detroit Lions have ranked top 6 in the NFL every single year in injuries. And that statistic is measured by amount of games missed per player. So since he took over, he was 1, 2, 6, 2, and then the last couple years, he was 1 or 2. So you're looking at a program now that year in and year out, these guys are the most injured team. The question is, like, where does that come from? Does it come from the intensity of practices? Does it come from strength and conditioning? Does it come from off-season rehab? Whatever that might be. But at some point, don't you think that there crosses a line between, like, a surefire issue and then just a coincidence? Because I think we're at that point right now.
That has been a question on Lions' minds for a while now. And Vic, if you don't mind me asking, what is your practice? What do you do in the medical field?
So I have a cash-based physical therapy practice, and I also do nutritional therapy and training. So I'm located down at something called the Cincinnati Sports Club. So
I gotcha. So you understand this. You understand it because of the physical rehab nature that you're involved in every day of your life, that there could be more to this. And let me just ask this as a sidebar. If you would like to be part of the show throughout the season and be an injury expert and come in and talk to us, we'll be more than happy to talk to you off air and see if that's something that you would like to do throughout the season or whenever. But we're always open to something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can't, I got your number. I'll text you my info and we'll chat offline. So I think I know where you're going with this. Is it coincidence? Because, if it happens once, okay. If it happens twice, yeah, unlucky. But 6 times or 5 times in a row that you're the top injured team, is there something to that is more than just we got unlucky?
Mm-hmm.
Dan runs very physical practices, very, very physical. We are one of the teams that one of the only teams that hits the way that they hit and tackles the way that they tackle. And I guess I would ask you, is there more of an injury risk on a player from repetition of constantly wrapping up and tackling and hitting at a high level versus not getting that conditioning, not getting that opportunity to, harden your body, if you will, before the season? Is there more soft tissue injury if you're not doing the work and then you go into the season and you're going full on versus, you've done the work in practice and in training camp and then you go to, into the season? How would you view it? And do you feel that there's more than just coincidence here?
Yeah. So obviously, like, the more aggressive and the more violent action that gets repeated, there's a higher risk, right? Like flag football, less injuries and tackle. But, what I'm seeing in the trend in the medical field, and this kind of is definitely apparent with football, is it's the overuse, man. It's the overuse injuries. It's overtraining, and their bodies wear down over time. I mean, if you look at the statistics of, like, Achilles ruptures today versus 10 years ago, it's astronomical. And I think part of the reason is you have guys that are bigger, faster, stronger, and they're training harder. And then you go into a franchise that has the mentality that Dan Campbell has, where you're biting, kneecaps and stuff. These guys are training so hard. And I think that is coming to bite them in the ass, especially like when you get through midseason. I think I even look at it and it just makes me sick because you can point out games where the Lions lost because of depth and injury, and there's not a lot of teams that you can say an injury loss in the game. I mean, like when you have Kendall Vildor have a ball bounce off of his face mask in the hands of Brandon Ayuk, he shouldn't have been on the field. but it's because players aren't able to last a full season under Dan Campbell. And I don't know if it's because of what they're doing in the weight room off season. I don't know if it's a combination of that and the aggressiveness of their practice. But I think a lot of it is just that load. I mean, over time, it's just taken a toll on these players and these athletes. And obviously, Detroit's not the only one. There is other franchises, like San Francisco's another one that's known for having all these injuries. There's just franchises that probably go harder, especially put more emphasis on the off season for these players. But now what's happening is catching up, and they can't make a full season.
That is some really good information, and I heard you mention that you also do nutritional work, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So ever since I've had cancer, I really started to look at labels more, and our food is terrible. I'm not going to get political about it or any of that stuff, but our food is terrible in America. I wonder if there's a component to this because not everybody eats clean, and you would think that high-paid athletes eat better than your average guy, right? Because they've got the money to afford, fresher ingredients, better ingredients, some of them private chefs. Is there a component to our nutrition factor that you would think that maybe that there's something lacking? I mean, are these athletes not doing enough, I hate to use the term biohacking, but enough medical work on their bodies to pull the right type of blood counts to say, hey, I am mineral deficient, or, I am deficient in this amino acid or protein or whatever, because it's deeper than just, skin level, right? There's a lot more to this underneath that our body is breaking down. And I'm not a medical professional, but there's more to why our body is breaking down more today. And I think a lot of it has to do with our food. I think a lot of it has to do with what's in our food, how our food is made. So do you think there's a component to nutrition here?
Yeah, I mean, if you take a step back and look at more of the global picture with the nutrition, and what I see with some of the higher end athletes is a lot of them aren't educated. And it's funny because you see some guys who, this is everything. Nutrition is everything to them. They focus on it from every single meal to pre-workout to post-workout to practices. They have it down. And then there's some guys that just aren't educated and they feel like, just getting calories is enough. And they do have, every single team has nutrition consults on staff. They have an understanding of it. But I think what ends up happening is guys don't follow that rigidly. And then the other thing is they're probably taking in a lot of inflammatory foods. You think about just some of the stuff that guys can consume just because they want to gain muscle, but it not necessarily is good for their body, and it can take its toll over time. So I definitely think that's a part of it. It's just hard to tell. Like, you would never be able to sit there and diagnose somebody like, hey, I think your rotator cuff tear happened because you ate like crap, but I think it's a contributing factor.
Yeah, that's impressive work, man. Great knowledge here. This is a great call. So I guess to formalize an opinion here for me, I've always believed in hard work. I also believe that you can do too much. And I've been at the practices, and I got to tell you, like, these practices are not hard. They're not like, Eric, you've been to the practices, you've been to the training camps. Now, we don't see the things that they're doing when we're not allowed there as fans or media, but they're not like going a million miles an hour and, just being careless. They're not trying to rip each other's heads off. They are making contact, and they are making contact more than I think your average person. Let me ask you this: is the turf a bigger problem than maybe repetition? For the soft tissue, the ligaments, the knee problems, the Achilles, the quads, all that stuff.
Yeah, there's been plenty of research on that, and with turf injuries. Turf-based injuries are normally highest occurring with ligament tears, and that's just more because a lot of those happen like with a sudden pivot motion and the foot getting stuck in the turf. But the correlation, like over a span of a team, I don't think is very high unless you consider something like, the Cowboys, where it's like a home team that plays there and they have those injuries at that rate. But I think the turf can play a significant factor when it comes to like those sudden freak accidents. I rarely see somebody like, tear their ACL and then we can return back to like, well, it was because you practiced too hard. It normally happens like super suddenly. So the turf does play an aspect in that. But I mean, honestly, if I were to just like take a picture at the Detroit Lions specifically, I don't think it's just that there are more aggressive practices. I think that might contribute, but I think it might be the mentality and these guys that are training so hard 365, 24/7, and it's the mentality in that locker room that is like all or none. It has to be something like that, because I can't imagine how a team can be ranked that high every single year in injuries and then come back the next year and like do what they do again this off season and not build that depth. Because as far as the track record goes, the Lions are going to be hurt this year, and we don't have the depth now. And that's what was when I was listening to you guys earlier, I was like, you know what, you're hitting it on the head. It's like, we got to get something, because any given moment, we're going to have 3 secondary players out. We're going to be depleted on the D line. We're going to have to shuffle around our offensive line. And I think that all just goes back to too much work, too much aggressiveness, too much overtraining. And that might even kind of blend in with the strength and conditioning.
Well, I know that they made minimal changes this year. Eric, I'll turn it to you in just a second. They made minimal changes this year. I know that Mike Clark, the director of sports performance, retired after 5 seasons. And then our head strength coach, Josh Schuler, I believe is his name. He's been with the team for at least 8 or 10 or 12 seasons. He kind of leads that department now. And so they didn't really go in and say, you know what, this has been a problem and y'all got to go. I think a lot of fans thought that way. And I guess I would ask you directly, can you as a physical, correct me if I'm wrong, physical therapy or, nutritionist, can you really affect how a player's health remains either, in good standing throughout a season or not? Like what effectual role do you have on making sure that player doesn't get injured? How would you view that?
Absolutely. The first thing it comes down to is their injury history. Being down in Cincinnati for a long time now, I constantly watch. You would look at all these Bengals wide receivers, and it was one after the other had these hamstring injuries. All the way back to like AJ Green and John Ross, all these guys. And you looked at it and you're like, okay, what's going on? And it's like, well, you have to look at their injury history, and then you have to look at the preventative rehab to implement. So you have a guy who constantly injures their hamstring. Well, you need to correct that with corrective exercises and nutrition, making sure that they're healing right, looking at the muscle density on one side versus the other to make sure that their right hamstring is 80% of what their left is. All of those factors are huge contributions, because that is when you prevent an injury from happening. Looking at their history, and even if it doesn't deal with that muscle group. So like an example is you have somebody who tears their ACL and they're coming back. Now they're more vulnerable to have a hamstring and soft tissue injury around that knee. So then you have to make sure you're doing everything to stabilize and work around that. So it's very preventative when it's that approach. I'm kind of looking back at the Lions this past year, and I'm just like, I wonder how many of those incidents could have been prevented if you just would have saw what was forthcoming by doing the proper rehab exercises beforehand, stabilizing around the joints and soft tissues. But then again, that's something that we will never know, because some injuries you just chalk up as a fluke injury, and then other ones you sit there and say, hey, that Achilles tendon, that could have been prevented.
So I apologize, Eric, but I've got another lingering question here, and Vic, you just tell me when you got to roll. The biggest question is Kirby Joseph. I have interarticular cartilage disease issues in my hips, my knees, everywhere. So I have cysts inside my interarticular joints in my hip, and it is excruciatingly painful when I don't have steroids in there, the hyaluronic acid injections, and when I finally feel it and I'm taking a step and I go right down to my knees sometimes. It doesn't happen often, but it happens, and it's extremely painful. How the heck is Kirby Joseph, if he does have interarticular, cartilage issue, which has been speculated, I think it's pretty spot on. Give us your take on Kirby. Can he really strengthen? Because you just mentioned something that I heard out of Dan, that they should have been, strengthening around that knee more. And everything my ortho doctors have told me, which maybe they're not the best because they just want to do surgery, is you can't really do anything to make it better. You need to cut it out and replace it. Everything you could have done before that was preventative, but cartilage is cartilage. You can't regrow it. You can't make it better. It is what it is when it's gone or detached, right? So what kind of shape is Kirby in? Speculated, of course, unless you know something more than we don't know. What can he do? Where do you think he is this year?
So I think with Kirby Joseph, one of the big things is we have to understand is they only are going to implement a certain amount of cortisone shots or steroid shots per year, because over time, what that would do is it would degenerate the soft tissue. It will create it to weaken. So you're kind of in a balancing act of like, how much anti-inflammation can we put in a joint versus how much can we provide stability and give the joint its structure. The other thing is with that is, like, as you mentioned, I use this reference a lot. So think about like a ball and socket joint, right? Like a hip. Okay. If that is arthritic, or it has calcifications, or it has bone spurs, it has some type of structural damage in there. Okay. If you put a marble in a small box and shook it around, that marble would hit all the edges, okay, and make a bunch of dents on the box. Well, that box is a joint. Now, if you put that marble in that same box, but you put it with, packaging or paper, it would move less. Therefore, it damaged the box less. That packing and that internal package, all that is stability, right? That is stability within the joint. That's the focused exercises. And now with the advancement in medicine, you can see exactly where these bone spurs are or where the issues are. And you can say, I need to stabilize at this angle, or I need to stabilize through this motion because this is where he gets most inflamed from. And to just say, well, we're going to put him out, create a surgery, have to, debris the head of the bone, that's probably his last resort. Whereas what we can do is we can work on preventative motions, things that are going to replicate what he's going to do on the field, but not cause the injury. So I think for him, it's going to be a balancing act between the cortisone shots, the stabilization, the therapy. But I'm not one to sit here and say like he's going to be 100%. I'm not one to sit here and say that he's going to be injured 3 games into the season. We just don't really know.
Very interesting information, man. And then talking about, like the femoral head and neck area. So I've had acetabular impingement surgery, and that did wonders for me. It's totally different than a cartilage issue, but the cartilage issue was secondary. I can see where, the pain comes from. And I guess I never realized, to your point and what Dan Campbell had mentioned, specific strength stabilization training, isolating specific muscle groups because of an angle of wear or tear degree that you're getting inflammation from. That's pretty specialized training and strength training. So I give, big ups to the people that do this for a living, like yourself, man. That's pretty incredible information. Eric, do you have a question for him, or Vic, do you have anything else more you want to add? I'll kick it to you first, Eric.
Sure. I'm going to have to get running. But my question was, what do you think about Brian Branch and his Achilles? Like the timeline that they're saying this didn't happen until December? So are we looking at seeing him at all this season?
Yeah. So basically the Achilles tendon rupture surgical approach now has changed. The reason I say that is what they're doing is something called like a double suture now, where you used to see an Achilles tendon rupture where they cut straight up the back of the calf and you see that big scar. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to do like a double suture at the top from the side of the calf. So a typical Achilles, 9 to 12 months is what you could say. So maybe he can be back around October. But the fascinating thing is, like, even though their Achilles tendon rupture frequency has gone up, the recovery has been fantastic. I mean, you look at these running backs, like I think about like Cam Akers, who bounces back from an Achilles rupture, and that used to be the death penalty for football players, right? So the recovery from this is getting better because the surgery has improved. So, I mean, if you think about him coming back around October or midseason, that's optimistic. But he's also a freak athlete. He hasn't ruptured his Achilles tendon before. So he's probably going to start on the PUP list. And then I would say mid-season return window, he's going to start to practice, and then we'll get a good gauge from there. But, I mean, as it is, I mean, he's younger. So there is statistics that show that when you rupture an Achilles tendon, at a higher age, the recovery actually is longer. And being that he's under 25, he's kind of youthful, I guess you could say, in the football years. Over 25 is when you kind of get to the quote-unquote geriatric years. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but the 24 and under Achilles tendon rupture, no history of it. I don't see it being a problem for him to return. But it's probably like around October. And the guy's a hard worker. You know he's going to be diligent with his rehab. So I think it's going to all kind of get a good understanding when he starts on the pup and just kind of see how much activity he's doing. But I haven't heard on the background like where he is yet. But I mean, I don't see anything that would set him back. So.
Very interesting, man. I hope that he can get back in October and get running. But that'll leave me with another final question for you. Research that I did a couple weeks back, talking about when players return from major ligament injuries like this, knee injuries, Achilles, whatever it is, that they lose on average about 20 to 25% of their power recovery and 20 to 25% of their statistical output. One, while they're getting comfortable, I think a lot of it has to do with them getting comfortable, but I would love to hear from your professional perspective, what statistical analysis that you would, know on if you have it, to that degree of a player coming back and what you can expect from them. Is it normal or natural that they're going to lose some degree in their first season getting back while they're getting, putting pressure on it, cutting, doing everything that they have to do to play the game of football? And should fans be upset at a player that comes back to play, even though it's expected that player is not really going to be 100%, even though they're 100% medically cleared? They may not be 100% football ready just yet. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, one, that's very dependent on the injury itself, right? Like what lower extremity or upper extremity injury you're dealing with, because every injury has a different amount of muscles that attach to the joint, different type muscle fibers that are recruited. Like a good example is when you have a calf injury, there is a 25% increase that you restrain a calf in the first 2 weeks back because it's not ready for the explosiveness, but it's also dealing with type 2 fast twitch fibers compared to some other muscles. Now, on the flip side of that, you deal with something that's maybe not necessarily so focused on having a ton of muscle recruitment. Well, you might not have that, but there's also so much apprehension, right? Like you see it every day in rehab world where somebody comes back, they're fully cleared, and they are so apprehensive to load a joint that it's just going to take another 2 weeks for them to get comfortable running or cutting or jumping. So I kind of think that that's one aspect of it. The other one that you kind of mentioned is like, they're coming back on the field and they might not be 100%. Well, let's be honest, you're midway through a season. I don't think any player is 100% on the field, right? They're all dealing with their own stuff, whether it's recovering from a massive injury or recovering from, something smaller like, just bumps and bruises from last week's game. So I don't think anybody's really 100% at that point. The biggest factor is it affecting their response time, right? Because that's where you're going to get beat. Are you able to respond fast and load that joint fast? You might not be as fast 3 steps in, but are you able to respond fast? So that's, in the therapy world, that's what we're testing. We're testing things like backpedaling and then catching a ball before it drops on the ground, or, planting and cutting backwards, those type of things in a response time. That's what's really, really important and evident when a player returns, to know if they're capable of doing that. Because if you're one, apprehensive, you're not able to respond fast. And two, if the muscles or joint aren't ready, you're going to really compensate and it's going to be a very slow response.
Very interesting, man. Vic, I can't thank you enough for calling in today and being persistent with it to get in and let us know this information, because it's great information. I sent you a text back with my details. I'd love to talk to you further. And then if you would like, if there's any way that this channel could benefit you in a way, where can people find you if you're comfortable with giving that information out? If you need new patients, or if you're accepting new patients for physical therapy, or if you don't do that at all, that's okay. So plug away if you want. Otherwise, we'll chat off air and see if we can't figure something out.
Yeah, thanks. On social media, on Instagram, you can follow me at DPT. So that stands for Doctor of Physical Therapy. So DPT, and then my last name Troha, TROHA. So DPT TROHA. But honestly, man, I was just calling in because I'm a diehard Lions fan. And I always love listening to you guys. So I thought it'd be my time to plug in a little bit. So
there you go, man.
You guys.
Appreciate you too, man. Keep doing the good work. Appreciate all the information. Have a good day.
All right, see you.
Bye-bye. Wow. What an amazing amount of information that I'm going to have to go clip and put together for everybody. Like that was some impactful stuff. Just made us all very, very smart in the last 30 minutes of what to expect with Kirby Joseph and why they are paying so much attention to the joints. This next caller calling in. Hey, next caller, give me just 1 second. I'll get right to you. Just hold on here briefly, okay?
Yep.
Okay, so all this information that we just gathered in understanding now that the very specific nature in which they're trying to attack Kirby Joseph's knee, it makes more sense now. So I've never heard of or had to do any of that specific isolation type of treatment or strengthening that Dr. Trollhouse was talking about. And my thing is, with cartilage, when it's gone, right? And I'm not out there playing football at a high level, so I guess you're probably treated a different way by physicians and orthopedists, where they're just saying, look, it's just time to replace the knee, or they're injecting you all the time. But he also lent some credibility to why they're not going to give a bunch of steroid injections, which helps knock down the inflammation right away, but then it degenerates even further as the time goes on. So it's a catch-22 type situation. I think that's why they're probably using a little bit more hyaluronic acid, at least with my knees. They do that. I'm curious as to what they use, with Kirby Joseph. And man, just great information. I'm going to have to rewind that and go listen to it again. Let's get this next caller in on the line. Who am I talking with now?
My name's Oren. I'm from Big Rapids, Michigan.
Arn, you've got some big shoes to fill with that last caller, man. What's happening?
I know, that was awesome. I learned a little bit too. So not anything like that. I'm not a doctor, so if anybody's wanting to hear that, then I'd get off for a little bit.
No, you're good. So what's on your mind, man? Draft, free agency, obviously the
You
Lions.
said something about wish list, and I've been going back and forth with J-Dog in the comments on this for a while now, and I just wanted your take on it. Given all the salary cap stuff off to the side, because you went through all that earlier, and we just don't have money for anything right now. But I like the idea of going younger with everything. Cade Mays being, 26 years old, and they got him fairly cheap. So at linebacker, I was wondering about Leo Chanel from KC. He's younger, and he's got a lot of miles on the tires, and he seems like a Dan Campbell kind of guy. He's played all three linebacker positions, so I'm not sure what you think about that. And then at safety, I was thinking Byard, and I'd love to see Cam Jordan come over from the Saints and just kind of be a mentor and come on a short, cheaper deal, but I don't know if that's possible.
So I'll start with the Cam Jordan thing. The thing with me is if we're looking for someone that can come in and really help this team win, I think that Cam Jordan offers a little bit of stability, but I'm really worried about the age. And I'm just going to take a page right out of the last playbook there by Dr. Troha. I apparently at 25 and a half years old, we're in the geriatric years of our life for a sports player. So I'm a bit worried about 12 years after that with Cam, even though he's been fairly healthy throughout his career. I would just be worried that, you're going to get all excited about something and then something bad happens. Right. And I think that's where the youth movement makes a lot more sense to your point. I would rather have a younger, hungrier guy. Maybe the Lions say, you know what? We're going to take 3 picks and we're just going to go all edge and linebacker. And I would be okay with that. Stiffen up that defense. We got plenty on the offensive side of the football. As long as they end up with a left tackle, maybe they're going to go deep, in this draft. And we've seen first year players, rookies play pretty well. And in a defense that is fairly established, I would say that, yeah, we're a safety away that, has some good experience. And to your point about Byard, I think it would work, but to what expense, right? And do we have the type of capital to get it done? But those are the types of players, yeah, you'd want to bring in. And then to Leo Chanel. So I'm not as well versed on Leo Chanel other than the fact that I think he's played the strong side linebacker position the majority of his time. And we need a will linebacker to take over for Alex Anzalone. However, Derek Barnes, he doesn't give you much in the pass rush department. Maybe he can give you a little bit more in the coverage department. Maybe you could move him to the will. I don't know if that really is going to work. I'd have to go back and watch some more film on him. I would say this: if you can bring in a guy like Leo Chanel and he's comfortable playing the will position, and the film is there and it suggests that he can do it, then yeah, he's young. I think he's the exact type of player that you're talking about that fits Dan Campbell, and he would be a good person to bring in. And I don't think his expense is extremely high. Do you know what his market value is?
I read somewhere they're thinking like 3 years, 15 to 18 million.
Okay, 3 years, 15 to 18.
Yeah.
Then I mean that's not out of the realm of possibility, right? I mean that's just that's another Alex Anzalone type deal, and it's a lot less than what Barnes is making, and I would say that's an affordable deal. So yeah, as long as he can play the will position, then I think we'd be okay. But I'd say right now we need a bona fide will linebacker that can take over for Anzalone and just keep building that depth, man. The depth is so critical, and I'm glad that the previous caller mentioned that as well. You go back to 2024, man. Did you ever think that we were going to end up 15-2 after we lost 60% of our defense?
No, and everybody was really coming back on the whole Lee McNeil thing earlier, and like he was our line after Hutch went down.
Yeah, he was it.
I mean, we had a bunch of plug-and-play guys that came off the couch from some other team, and that's great and fine and dandy, but Aleem was our guy. So
it was Aleem and Jack.
Need to lighten up.
Yeah, it was Aleem and Jack. It was Aleem and Jack. Yeah. That was it.
Yep. So I think people need to be a little more patient with him, especially with the fact that he's coming back from injury. Is it a big contract? Yeah, but I mean, let him earn it.
Yeah, and I think he will. I think that we know Aleem well enough now to know that he's hungry. He's always going to work. He's the exact type of person you want out there, and he's needed in that room now. We're losing some good vets. Losing guys like Alex Anzalone and Taylor Decker and even Roy Lopez, man. I mean, those are 3 rock solid dudes. And Amik Robertson, 4 rock solid dudes that have left this locker room now. We need some good guys to get in there. And I'd say that, as you look around in free agency, the Lions are always going to look to high culture. And that's for a reason, man. When you're down in the dumps and you're having a bad week, it's the guys that can come in and they can, steer that ship in the right direction simply by out hustling and outworking everybody else in the room and amplify and level up the team together. Sometimes the big diva names just don't work that way.
Right.
They don't. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, you're good. I appreciate you taking my call, and I'll be listening to you. I'm a public transportation driver, so I'll be listening to you on my bus today.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I appreciate the good work you do out there in the community, and line's always open. When you see the button on, man, it's always open. Call in anytime.
All right, thank you.
Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
Just no texting and driving, right? Just no texting and driving. Make sure you don't do that. No texting and driving. A couple of great calls, man. A lot of good information. A lot of great information from Dr. Trollha there. I can't say it again or say it enough. I'm worried about Brian Branch. I'm worried about Kirby Joseph. And Brad Holmes has some big shoes to fill right now. He really does. Talking about 2 All-Pros. Even though Kirby got a little bit slighted, he still got his All-Pro. I don't think Brian Branch has gotten his All-Pro yet, but he sure as hell deserved it. Those guys are needed on the field, man. It's pretty tough to go from a number 1 defensive backfield, from the safety department to nothing. Carlton Davis to a very bad year for DJ Reed. Even though it wasn't extremely bad, it was still bad. But I'll remind you guys of this. We are all the sum of our parts and pieces, right? If you're weak anywhere, Well, hopefully your wife or your husband is strong there, right? Same is to be said, or girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever. Same is to be said about players on the field. To the last caller's point, Aleem was what we had left in 2024, and so was Jack Campbell. That was it from our front seven. Week 6, Aiden goes down. Week 15 or so, Aleem went out. I think it was week 7 or 8, Anzalone went out. I think it was around that same time in week 15 that Rodrigo went out. So, yeah, we were down. Barnes went out, I think, week 4 or week 3, something like that. You are the sum of your parts and pieces. And when you're missing a lot of the pieces, it's pretty hard to play the part. And being as injured as we were in 2024, no one thought that we would be 15-2, except for this guy that kept telling you every week we were going to win. And we pretty much did. The problem is the depth that they put together in 2024 is the exact type of depth we need now. We don't have it. We don't have it. And if they don't go and get it, and if this year repeats like it did the last few, and we are injured again, we're in trouble. And at that point, I don't even know how you fix it. Because you'd have to, I mean, you're trapped. You're trapped into all of these bigger contracts, mostly on offense, a couple on defense. But you're trapped. And you're going to live through the draft. And the only way that it makes sense for me to get better quicker is this. Brad Holmes is going to have to get very comfortable at being uncomfortable. He's going to have to get rid of some 2027 draft cap. I'm not as upset over the Isaac Tesla trade, like some of the other fans out there. I think that was the right move after watching how good Tesla can be and was last season. Right now, we have 3 extremely good receivers. Not many teams have that. We have an extremely good running back, probably the 1 or 2 or 3 in the league with Jahmyr Gibbs. So we're solid on offense. As long as the offensive line works, our offense is going to hum like it always has. 25 plus points per game. And if you can do that, you can win a lot of football games. But where it matters on the other side, and I've been saying this every year in and year out, if our defense cannot keep teams to 19.99 points or less per game, we will lose games. That is a 9-8, 10-7 type season, teetering on the border of playoffs. So the defense has to get back to the depth. You have to have the players in there. Aiden Hutchinson has to take plays off. And he has to take plays off where he's not good, and that is against the run game. You have to bring in more edge, absolutely, but they need to be good against the run, first and second down. If you bring in AQM back, now you've got your third down rusher. You have Aiden, you have your third down rusher. You can leave Aiden in on first or second down, depending on where it is on the field and what's happening. Right? Down and distance and play calls, all that stuff matters. But he has to have some rest going into the fourth quarter, where then his motor is still running at optimal level. Get him down to that 90% level. It's a 5%, 8% drop. That's a huge drop. And the other thing, to kick it back to Dr. Troha, that repetition, well, it's only adding up game after game, year after year, season after season. Eventually, he's going to have a ligament issue. You hope not, but it's probably going to happen. He already has destabilization with the broken leg, right? And how much time that has taken him to resurrect that leg, and how much stress did it put on the other leg. But Brad has to get uncomfortable and give up some of that 2027 draft cap. He needs to get inside this draft in the second and first round to stack. And if that's his plan right now, I'd be excited, because it's a very deep draft in the first 2 rounds for players that we need, positions that we need. If he goes into this draft and he walks away with 5 impact players, that would totally reset the dominance for this defense. But that's kind of what we're looking at. We need another dominant corner in the slot. We need another dominant safety over top. We need another dominant DT that has pass rush upside. We need another dominant linebacker at the Sam position or at the will position. And you need another edge that can shut down the run. I would take the edge that is more of the high pass rush upside guy in this draft, and I would find the AJ Epinezas in free agency. That's my plan. But you know what? You're going to have to give up your second round pick. You're probably going to have to give up your third round pick in next year's draft. Oh, well, package them up and get more picks inside the top 70 of this draft and we'll be okay. Is he going to do it? I don't know. I'd say that Brad is not afraid to make moves. What he hasn't done is give up a ton of future draft capital in early rounds to make those moves. The middling rounds, third and fourth round picks, unless you get lucky, those are not players that are typically starting on day one, unless your team is going through a rebuild. We're not in a rebuild. Third and fourth round picks don't affect this team out of, other than depth, right? You have depth that is also going to take time to develop. Every player that you bring in this draft is still a developmental project. It's just the projects get lengthier and more difficult further the round goes. But again, you can get lucky. You can find those players like Kobe Turner's, the ones that I wanted in later rounds, and that would have given this team a big boost. Brad didn't have an opportunity to get that player. That player was taking 4 or 5 spots in front of Broderick Martin. Broderick Martin didn't work out. So it's time to get deep at certain positions. And, again, looking at our top 51 and where the Lions need to be this season, let's run through it. Let's go through our depth chart real quick. That'll probably be the last thing I'm going to go through today, at least right now, unless something pops. Today's kind of another marathon day, but I do got to take some time out to handle some business here in the afternoon. Looks like the Saints just climbed out of cap purgatory. Not really seeing anything else happening. What time is it? 11:25? Maybe after the noon hour, we'll get some action. John Desage, AQM is somewhere in that 7 to 9 range. I think the market value is right there about 8 million, if I'm not mistaken. We did it yesterday. All right, let me bring up the depth chart. I'm just going to use ESPN's for now. It may not be totally accurate, but it'll be very close. Okay, that's not it. Wrong one. There we go. Let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. I think we're good about right there. Okay, so on the offensive side of the football, right now all we have is Jared Goff. So let me write this stuff down. I need my notepad. Hold on. Okay. So if we're looking at quarterback right now, we need 2. We'll break that out to 1 free A and 1 in the draft. Running back. Honestly, we're good. It's not a major concern to start the season with who we have right now, but I'm going to say 1 in the draft. Must be getting close to medicine time, man. That's kind of funny. Answer 14 says, we need to upgrade Vaki. He gets hurt eating breakfast. He has had a few injuries, man. Let's just hope that the third year's a charm. But to your point, yeah, I would love to draft a running back in this class. This is a great draft to get a running back in that 3rd to 4th round and still get lucky. I mean, my God, if Washington really does slip that far, the Lions better do everything that they can to bring him in or Nick Singleton. Oh, I apologize. I'm not taking calls right now. My apologies. Whoever called, I'm not taking calls at the moment. All right, so back to this. Wide receiver. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. I don't know why Khalif Raymond is listed here. He is a free agent, correct? Yeah, he's a free agent. Unrestricted. So he's not on the list. So behind him, Tom Kennedy is also a free agent, but we do have Malik Cunningham and Jackson Meeks and Dominic Lovett, right? So we have at least 5. Right? Did I do that right? We have at least 5 on the roster. We have Jackson Meeks, Malik Cunningham, Dominic Lovett, Isaac Tesla, Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 6. So receiver is not a huge need as far as filling a hole immediately in free agency. So I would say, if anything, you might look to the draft. If you're looking at bringing some guys in, and more than likely, it's going to be UDFAs for the Lions. Tight end. Currently, we have Shane Zielstra, who's a free agent, right? I believe he's a free agent. Most positive he was. On the roster right now, Sam Laporta, Brock Wright, Thomas Gordon, and Zach Horton. Maybe I should just do this with the SPO track instead because it's more accurate. There we go. You just won't be able to see it in that nice format that they give. But I'll parse it down here. Tight ends. Zach Horton, Brock Wright, Sam Laporta, and Horton. I would say that we need 1. And I honestly, I would look at free agency. And if there's nothing that happens in free agency, because there's really not a whole lot out there, the draft is where you're at. Matter of fact, let's just take a look at available free agent tight ends. The ones that we talked about yesterday. Assuming this list is up to date, Chig in free agency. Okonkwo. You're looking at about an $8 million investment per year. He is one that I would bring in. He can block. He's also good at receiving. He averages about 600 yards a season if I remember correctly. Jake Tongas. Forgot about him, but he's restricted. Yeah, he played in about 30% of snaps last year. Put up 293 yards, 34 catches. I mean, that's not terrible for a fourth. So Jake Tongs, I'd be open to that, but what is his restriction? I don't know what his RFA was. He tendered? I don't know the whole deal with that. There's really not a whole lot of names on this list that one that I would want, or two are really that affordable. A lot of older guys on this list. Will Dissly is. We had Dissly at one point, I thought. Maybe not. He didn't do a whole lot last year. 97 yards. Pretty down year for him. Only 2 games started. But if you go back to the year before with the Chargers, 481. Yeah, if you're trying to get, third, fourth, tight end volume out of him, I'd say that's what you're going to get. But at $5.5 million, I would say that's way too much money. So it's probably going to be the draft. All right, we'll skip from there. We'll go to tackle. Well, we know left tackle's wide open. Left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. So you got Sewell. Right guard, you got Ratledge. Center, you got Mays. Left guard, you have Mahogany. And left tackle right now, you have Manu, Borum. Actually, I don't know if Borum is left tackle. Hold on. More of that swing tackle. All right, so last year, Larry Borum lined up at the right tackle position pretty much the entire season. So we're going to put Borum behind Sewell and then swing. I think he can fit that role. Mason Miller's still around. And I think that Mason Miller was more of a right tackle, was he not? I have to go back to his college years. So he was a Bison at North Dakota State. I think he played with Gray Zabel. And it looks like back in 2023, senior season, started all 15 games for the Bison. First 3 at right tackle, then he moved to left guard. And then in 2024, his second senior season, started all 16 games at right tackle. So we have 3 right tackles so far. Colby Sorsdahl, I'm out. I don't even know why he's still on the roster, to be honest with you. All right, so there they did list him as a right tackle for Borum. Still have Devin Cochran on the roster, Panay Sewell. So we have 4 right tackles, which some of them could slide inside to guard. Left tackle, you have Giovanni Manu all by himself. And that's it. So we have 4 right tackles and 1 left tackle. Guards, we have Miles Frazier. He could be a left guard. He might even moonlight at left tackle. Let me look him up real quick. All right, let's taking a look here at Miles Frazier. 6'5", 325. He's a big dude, man. Big dude. 3-year starter on the offensive line for the Tigers from 2022 to 2024. He also spent 2 seasons at Florida International. And according to LSU, he started 39 games at right guard 28 times, left guard 9 times, right tackle 2 times. So I think we've got our answer. He's a left guard. I think we have our answer. So it's highly unlikely that he's going to move around. He's right guard or left guard. Right guard 28 times, left guard 9 times. So he's going to be our swing guard. We'll just call him that. I don't even know if that's a real position, but hell, we'll just call him that. He's our swing guard. He's our backup. Juice Scruggs. Now, Scruggs played center, and he also plays guard. I'm going to lock him in as a backup center behind Mays for right now. Our offensive line is actually not looking extremely bad. I mean, compared to what we think. The biggest hole we have is left tackle. We have Seth McLaughlin. He's our 3rd backup center right now. So our biggest hole is left tackle. No surprise. And I would say it's going to be the draft. It has to be. Unless they pull something off in free agency or a trade, I don't see how that gets any better for the Lions. I mean, this free agency period is terrible for left tackles, as it is every year. Every year. Yeah, I hope you're right, Josh Prince. AJ Epinesa, man, he's my guy. He's been my guy for 3 years. I want to see him end up in Detroit. I believe Noah Fant is already scooped up, Robbie. He's already scooped up. Njoku is available. He's also very expensive. I like Njoku too. So, yeah, to your point, Attila, that makes some sense, doesn't it? So if you're looking at the board right now, you have flexibility. Brad Holmes absolutely has flexibility. So maybe he's not making all these moves in free agency because, to Attila's point in the chat, let's just say Sewell goes to left tackle. Well, now you have Sewell and Manu at left tackle, and you still have 3 right tackles on your roster. Borum, Miller, Cochran. And there's more right tackles available in this draft than there are left tackles. And then you have Mahogany and Frazier at left guard. You have Mays, Scruggs, and McLaughlin at center. And you have Ratledge and Frazier at right guard. If anything, we probably need another guard. And I would say that that's either Emmanuel Pregnan, could be Mason Miller, it could be Mason Miller, or Blake Miller, excuse me. Yeah, Mason or Blake? Why am I losing my mind today? Monroe Freeling and Blake Miller. There's plenty of guards available. Plenty of tackles that are going to end up being guards in this draft. All right, what's next? So we got quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, tackle, and guard is all set. Center is all set. Let's go to the defensive side of the football. Let's go to our safeties. Dan Jackson. I have no idea who he is right now. Like, hasn't played. He was doing okay in the training period of last year. But that's it. Right? Like, I'm not going to get all excited about a player in training camp. I'm not going to get all excited about a player in OTAs. I'm not going to get excited about a player in I guess let me think. Well, when did he get hurt? When did Dan Jackson go down? Did he even play a preseason game? I don't think he did. August 3rd. So that was before our first preseason game. So like I was saying, I'm not going to get excited about a player in preseason either. I'm just not. I mean, it's good to see that they're playing well, but it doesn't tell me who they're going to be at the next level. I think he was a 7th round draft pick for a reason. But that doesn't mean that there's not some high upside, ability there. That it doesn't mean that, he can't turn into something. If anything, it's, a really good backup. Unless Brad hit it out the park, right? And found, draft diamond late on day 3. We have Lauren Strickland. I mean, Strickland is a pure backup. Jackson is a pure backup. You have Brian Branch and you have Kirby Joseph. And if I'm the Lions, there is no way I'm getting out of this draft without either Zakia Wheatley, Dylan Thieneman, or McNeil Warren. So that means a 1st round pick or potentially a late 3rd round pick on Wheatley. AJ Halsey, I think he's pretty good too. I can't remember if AJ was more corner. I thought his size projected differently. I haven't written anything up on him yet. No, he's right there at safety. He's 6 foot 215. He's a thicker guy. And he's projected to be an immediate starter. LSU guys, I think that we know that Brad likes, the LSU guys. He has an affinity for SEC type schools. And AJ Halsey right now is projected to be a top 50 pick. So if you're looking at the draft, which is exactly where I think you're going to look, and then you're possibly going to look in free agency still. So someone mentioned Bayard. I'm going to throw Halsey, Warren, Thieneman, and Wheatley in the draft. You have an option. And I would say yes and yes. You need to get one of each. Bring in a vet that can lead your group from the back. Hopefully Branch is able to, reset the table when he gets healthy. And hopefully Kirby gets lucky, man, and he's able to play. But if you're trapped into Kirby's contract, so if you got to pay the guy, and even if you put him on a low rotation, at least for the beginning of the season, and just say, look, I'm going to put you on a slow pitch count. I'll bring you in for 25, 30% of the snaps and see how you play, or I'll bring you in purely on passing downs only, and then we'll rotate our safeties in. I think that would be a smart play anyway. And going back again to that caller, Dr. Troja, I want to know how many teams are rotating sub packages in and rotating their starters out to give them more time off the field, if they even really care about the pitch count and keeping their players healthy, or are they just keeping their starters on the field all game long? I'm interested now to look and see which teams are using more sub packages than not, and who's coming in those sub packages. But I could see an idea where if Kirby Joseph is not released, which it won't help the Lions much this year, it will more so next year. But if he is released, then it is what it is. But if he's not, let's rotate him in. Don't make him, have to do anything in the run game. First and second down, keep him off the field. He'd be like a high, valuable pass rusher just as a safety, right? He's just going to be a ball hawker for you. Just going to try to flip the field, snag an interception. It's kind of hard to get into a rhythm that way, and I doubt that the Lions want to do that, but that's just how my mind works. So I think we're in a hole with safety. You have 4. It's not enough. All right? It's not enough. You can still bring back... Daniel Thomas, and that'll help you in the short term. I think that Daniel Thomas would be a good addition on a low market value, under $3 million a year. And that'll at least help stabilize the unit. He's only 28 years old. So free agency, I'm going to put Thomas up there. And again, someone mentioned Bayard. I'm not extremely excited about that one, but yeah, I think a good vet is the right move. And then the draft, of course. All right, let's go down to linebackers. This is where we're in a big pinch. We have 2 linebackers on the staff right now, on the team, on the roster. We have Jack Campbell and Derek Barnes. The Lions need their Alex Anzalone. So they need a Will. They need a me. They need a Will. They have 4 spots to fill. So you're going to absolutely fill 3 of those spots in free agency. And you're going to fill 1 of those spots in the draft. I don't know of another way that they're going to be able to pull it off. And they might fill 2 of those spots in the draft. They might get an early draft pick. And I've said this the other day that I'm not fully out on the fact that Brad Holmes isn't going to do something crazy and try to move up into the top 5 and grab one of the best linebackers in the class. You'd have to give up some significant draft cap to go do it. You're talking a pick swap, 17 to number 5 or number 4, and then you're also, or even 6, and then you're also talking next year's first and probably next year's second to be able to do that. And maybe even a 5th round or 6th round pick from this year, preferably a 6th. So if you gave up a 1st, a 2nd, and a 6th, and a pick swap first to move up to get Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Bailey, I mean, that would be an incredible amount of draft cap going out. But I think it also settles the argument that you've done something to help out your defense with pass rush upside and good coverage ability. However, you just don't know what you don't know about the rooks. They may take time. They could be a liability in the beginning. And we don't know, the mental side of it, like how easy is it for them to grasp the playbook? Next up, let's take a look at edge and defensive line. So off the right side, right edge, and we got the left edge. Two different styles of players. You've got Aiden. He's down on your left side, or primarily over the right tackle, because that's where you want to line him up. He does switch equally about 50, 60, 40, back and forth. You're going to need a free agent, possibly AQM, to come back for the right side. You also have Ahmed Hassanin. And we can't sink our eggs in that basket because we don't know what he is yet. And then after that, you pretty much have defensive linemen. Now, our defensive linemen work in a unique way. Mekhi Wingo can definitely play off the right edge. In this 4-3 hybrid base front that we run, he will sometimes kick in and be that 3-tech. But he can also play on the outside. When Levi Onwuzurike was healthy, you also saw him go outside and then kick inside as well. But we are missing some significant assets in the edge department. So we're going to need 4 total between free agency and the draft. Tyler Lacey is another one that can also kick out, but if you're looking for pure edge rush domination, the Lions are going to need 4. And I would say that that's going to be 2 in free agency and potentially 2 in the draft. Or it could be 3 in free agency and 1 in the draft. Sorry, I didn't realize that was pretty small there. My bad. Defensive line. You got Lee McNeil. I think he's going to come back and have a good year. You have Trent Williams. That's your replacement so far for DJ Reader. He is the nose tackle size. He also has pass rush upside, and I think you're going to see a little bit more of that this season. Behind them, for right now, you have Levi behind Aleem. You have Lacey behind Tyleek. You have Chris Smith behind Levi. And you have Wingo behind Lacey. We have 6. Let me pull up last year's chart. Where is last year's chart? Why is it not in here? Has to be in here. Son of a biscuit. Okay, so last year's 53-man roster, and I think that's where we got to start, right? The final 53-man roster after cuts last year, didn't we have 3 open spots? Which is nuts to think about, but yeah, we had 3 open spots. And the Lions, they did something a little bit differently than we've seen before. They only kept 3 defensive ends last year, with Josh Paschal remaining on NFI and then Ahmed Hassanin going on the injury settlement. So had they not been injured and been able to play, they might have kept 5, right? They might have kept 5. And then they went with 6 defensive tackles. Chris Smith, Wingo, Pat O'Connor, Roy Lopez, Trent Williams, and DJ Reader. Well, I think the odds-on favorite here is, yeah, Smith is going to have a shot. Levi was on NFI. Aleem was on PUP. And so I think right now, Wingo's going to have a shot. Aleem obviously is in. Tyleek is in. Those are your 4 locks. Levi and Lacey, they're going to be fighting for a position. You're going to need to bring in at least 2 defensive tackles, at least. And this is just to get, ready for the season. You're going to have to bring in at least 2. So I could see 1 in free agency and 1 in the draft. I mean, you still have Pascal coming back. I guess I could put him back up with the edge, even though his primary position is defensive lineman. He was playing on the defensive line as an edge when Aiden Hutchinson went out. All right, and then lastly, we've got our corners. Starting corners, you have DJ Reed. You have Terrion Arnold. Got to hope Arnold has his head up in the clouds, or out of his ass and up in the clouds. And we don't have any issues there. Nick Whiteside played fairly well for us last year in spurts, but he's not an answer to me. I would love to see the Lions bring back Rocky Sin. Ennis Rakestraw, he's going to be probably down in that slot. This is where I see him playing right now, but honestly, I feel like his body type is a little bit thin to man up in that slot nickel. You look at Brian Branch versus an Ennis Rakestraw, that's a big difference. And I feel like you're giving up a big ability to slam that box shut without an elite tackler and someone with some decent size. When running backs are taking the corner and you've got to fight through traffic, Rakestraw's done well as far as tackling and, in the past, watching his film, I think he does really good. But now we're talking 2 years removed from playing football and what is his ability? It would be irresponsible for Brad to trust Rakestraw. But right now I'm going to put him in that slot spot, and I don't think that that's where he's going to be eventually. I think he's going to be behind Arnold as cornerback 2 with DJ Reed, cornerback 1. Khalil Dorsey, you can probably put him behind Reed for right now. So we need a slot guy. So you're probably looking at 1 in free agency for slot. And you're probably looking at 1 in the draft for slot. And if everybody else remains, I would say that we're okay. But we need a dog. We need another Brian Branch type player to come in and man the slot. I don't want to see Brian Branch go back to slot unless it's needed. But I think it's okay if it is. If it happens, it'll be fine. As long as they bring in another elite safety. And I think that's why you have to, in my opinion, go a little bit deeper in the secondary. And right now I have them going 1 in free agency, 1 in the draft. I guess we didn't do safety. Hold on. I thought we did safety already. We didn't do safety. Get back. We did safety. Yeah, we did safety already. So I have 1 in free agency and 1 in the draft there. And I'm not talking about just anybody's. I'm talking about players that can play. We need competition, but we need players that can actually play. They can start. They can give you a lot of snaps. That can, help you in the run game, because that's the most important thing. And then we need guys with pass rush upside. I've been saying it for a couple of years now. I want to see us more in that nickel, that sub package look. And I want bigger safeties. I would rather see 3 safeties on the field to use one of them as a small linebacker, and they're blitzing the quarterback. Using that 4.4 or 4.38 speed, whatever it is, and you're blitzing that quarterback. Go back and watch Seattle Super Bowl, man. Go back and watch New England's defense last year. That's what they did, and they did it very, very well. I'll try to sum all this up for later, but it's lunchtime for me. I got to take a break. Appreciate you guys all for joining me once again. Few hundred in the chat all morning long. You guys have been great. I can't thank the callers enough today for their valuable information. And I got to do one last thing. I got to make sure that I take Robbie's call. So, Robbie, if you still want to call in, got a few minutes for you here to say what you need to say. Anthony Richardson seeks trade. I saw that. Let me do a quick update here and see if we have anything that's changed. Robbie, let me know if you're going to call in. Oh, you're good? Okay. All right, I'll kill it. I'll turn off the phone lines. So like I said, I'll tie all this up, put a bow around it. I'll try to put out an article if I can here after lunch of, kind of what we're missing, what we should be looking for. And maybe by then we'll get some information, right? Because as soon as I hung up yesterday, what happened? As soon as I hung up, Brad started to wake up. A couple of things happened. So we'll follow in yesterday's progress. It's noon. It's time to take a break. We'll be back on later. And I'll be back on doing, pop-ups or videos as needed. When we do get some information. Looks like tight end Dawson Knox has agreed to a new 3-year deal with the Bills. It also looks like well, that's old. That's it. There's nothing happening. There's absolutely nothing happening. Let's hear what these insiders are talking about.
Top remaining running back right now, Rachaad White, formerly of the Buccaneers. I say formerly because they signed Kenneth Gainwell. We're expecting White to head elsewhere. And I've always watched Greg Rosenthal, our guy at NFL.com, is 101 free agents. The top remaining running back right now, Rachaad White, formerly of the Buccaneers. I say formerly because they signed Kenneth Gainwell. We're expecting White to head elsewhere. And I've always watched Rachaad White down there in Tampa, and I thought he was underutilized. I always thought he was one of the best running backs that the Buccaneers have had in recent memory. They had a 1,500-yard season just a couple of years ago. And then, I understand Bucky Irving and even Sean Tucker was doing some stuff for them. I was just talking to a personnel guy the other day. I said, this guy can do a little bit of everything, right? He's like, yeah, and he can even pass protect really well. So I'm expecting something to happen here in the near future with Rachaad White. I'm told that he was one of the fallback options potentially in Seattle if they didn't have Kenneth Walker, and some of these other teams going to be looking at Rachaad White. And maybe I'm biased for a couple of reasons. One, we've had him on the Insiders, and he was a terrific interview. And two, he was just in my town a couple of weeks ago at my daughter's school. He was taking pictures with the kids and playing with them, and a really fantastic time that he had with the kids. So Rachaad White, good guy, good guest, good football player, expecting him to sign somewhere in the near future.
Well, there you go. I mean, Rachaad White is still available. I guess there's always that option. I have a feeling he's going to be way too expensive. So yeah, I wouldn't expect that for Detroit, but hey, if they can make it work and if the contract's not too crazy, I would love to see Rachaad White in Detroit. He can catch, he can run, he can block, he can do it all, but his contract may be way too expensive. And then being able to, sit back, relax, and not have to be a premier back, I think that extends your career as well. But that's it. I'm going to go get some lunch, take a break. I'll be back. And we'll see you guys later on this afternoon. Go and probably go to Detroit Lions, man. Brad, it's time to work. I'm hanging up now, so you know what to do. It's time to mail it in, man. Tell the NFL you got your next free agent on the line. We'll see you guys later. Bye.